Give me a second. Sorry. Trying to get used to my new setup. I got my laptop going now.
Oh, okay.
Hello, everybody. How are we doing?
What's
This
up?
is the Political
Okay.
Matrix. I am your host, Young Morpheus, here with my friends and colleagues, as you can see to my left or right, depending on how you're looking at the screen, Mr. Cy Lawson. How are we doing tonight, Chris?
I'm good, man. Just getting in. Just saw the Spider-Man movie. It's something to do on the Saturday.
Something to do. How was it?
It was good. It was good. I mean, you could break down all the things that you didn't like, and you could poke all kind of holes in it, whatever. But overall, it was a good movie. I mean, what do you expect? Actually, at least it had some good action scenes, right? And there was a few surprises, which was good too. So,
Mm-hmm.
you know, it was
All right.
straight. How about y'all? What's going on?
How we doing, Chris? I mean, not Chris, but E. How we doing, E?
Man, the tornado that was crazy.
Oh yeah,
That
we
and
definitely
then the
gonna get
warm
into that.
weather, man, that shit is weird. It's like fucking 60, 70 degrees outside. I'm like, it's almost Christmas. It's weird as fuck for Georgia. So
Yeah, and L, how are we doing tonight?
Well, unfortunately, I had a mishap and hit my elbow on the table, and now I want to curse it to death. But other than that, doing all right. It was my bad elbow, so that was really, really painful. Because I'm disabled, not really, but like I have a neuropathy, so it was a big problem. But hopefully the pain will subside soon. Um, if you can't figure out who's in my photo tonight, it's Gillian again. And she's with Ava Anderson Dubin, who testified in court, and we'll get into that later. Like yesterday, I think it was.
okay.
And hold
She did
on out
not
there.
attend orgies with Epstein and Maxwell. Absolutely not. That's what she said.
L, I see L's gonna start us off on one of these kind of nights. I see. Apparently, I just better buckle in and get ready for the show. Making sure I get this right. I'm still trying to get used to this setup, everybody. Yes, Mr. Street, we are a little fashionably late as usual. Just trying to get used to this new, different setup. I finally got to use my microphone and I got my laptop and trying to get the lights situated. So it's all good. And I see our good friend and brother Thomas Oklahoma is in the building. How we doing tonight, Thomas? Um,
What's up, Thomas?
as you all can see, we got a couple of interesting topics. Um, we have the trucker who gets 110 years for I'm not sure how they exactly charged him. I'm assuming vehicular manslaughter would probably be the charge. Um, Also, we have the tornado in Kentucky that we're going to get into and talk about a little bit. And then we also have the NDAA, which Elle is going to tell us all about. I see my brother Fuzz the Fair in the building. So glad to see you, my man. So glad to see you. So I figure since we already kind of talked about the oh shoot, I need my charger. Um, since we already kind of talked about the tornado a little bit, E, would you like to lead us in a little bit more on that tornado? Because you're already alluding to the weather being a little bit unusual for this time of year in Atlanta.
Right. I mean, I think it's been hotter. Like it's weird. Okay. It's like weird it's weird for the southeast, right?
Mm-hmm.
It's weird for the southeast to be like 60, 70 degrees. So when I heard about the tornado, that wasn't weird for the season. I think it's like hurricane season, tornado season. But when they were talking about Kentucky, I still wasn't really all that invested in it. I just kind of knew about it. And then they started talking about like people working like through it and then dying like in the middle of it. And I don't know exactly what the death count is as of right now, but I think it's at least 100 people, and it was messed up, man. This kind of freaked me out a little. It kind of freaked me out a little bit. I mean, I'm not. What were the two that really rocked me? The Candle Factory, and then the Candle Factory, and then the Amazon Factory. So it's just but what really got me was the whole Biden going down there and basically, I guess, anthropomorphizing a flag, like pulling the flag out of the rubble and being carried by a little girl, and I'm just.
That reminded
the
me.
question
When
Go
you
ahead.
brought up the flag, how ridiculous that was. You got people who are still fucking missing, and these jackasses are worried about a fucking dingy ass, dusty, bloody fucking rag that we call the flag of the United States. I mean, ridiculous.
And my question was why weren't they worried about? Because I was asking that when it was happening. I was like, why aren't they worried about the people? And I'm like, because there's probably a lot of them dying. They're dead or dying or missing or all of the above. And the flag is like, oh, well, you can bring out the flag in one piece. It was like what Chris said. It's propaganda. It's just, it's just a narrative. But America's history with like natural disasters is just, it's either pure spin or purely narrative, or just plain old fashioned propaganda. It's just,
Well, I thought it was
it
interesting.
shouldn't surprise me.
I thought it was interesting, and I wanted to make sure to note how, what's his name, Senator from and Misha, how we doing, brother? And when you come
What's
back
up,
in,
Misha?
we'll say hey. But I thought it was pretty interesting how a certain senator, Mr. Rand Paul, has spent his career mostly saying pretty much screw anybody who's trying to ask for relief aid. If all these other states, whether it be Florida, whether it be Texas, whether it be Puerto Rico, no matter where it was, he's kind of like, well, no, you guys don't get relief aid. But now it happens to Kentucky. Now it's, oh yes, we need the money, we need the help, all the people. Now you give a shit about people. Chris, what's some of your thoughts on this?
Ladies first. Go ahead, Al.
There was a creepy ass video. I don't know if you guys saw it. We could get it up. Joe Biden doing his little speech, his tornado speech. And then it was so fucking creepy because like they just like bring the lectern out and like put him in this spot in this like desolate area. And then they gave him a kid. They're always giving him kids. What is with these people? Like you think by now they would leave the kids out of it. Like it's not good press.
Right.
Stop.
Exactly. I'm just like, why?
Stop. Just get your kids away from this guy. He's not good people. He shouldn't be holding anyone's child in his arms, like from the back. I don't care if it's a guy or a girl. It doesn't matter to him. He will hold them as much as he can.
Yeah, I don't think it matters to him either. It's like
it really doesn't.
I almost wonder sometimes if this isn't kind of like let's say like a not Julian, but what's his name? Fucking Jeffrey Epstein type of troll. Like they're like kind of throwing it in our face and like, hey, you guys know what he likes behind closed doors. I'm just throwing that out there. I could be wrong.
And he brought like an older kid who's like his cousin or something into the thing, and she's on the side and she's like trying to hold the kid back from the president. Like it's something. I'll get the clip so we don't have to just hear me talk about it. Man, he's done a lot of speeches lately. He must be so tired.
Yeah, that's right, Nitram.
He needs
Just
a
seemed like he was
yogurt.
more concerned about the photo opportunity.
Mm-hmm.
Get his little
So
15
busy.
minutes or whatever.
All right, I got the vid.
So
This
you got
is so weird. All right, I'm putting it in the chat, the private. Oops.
Okay.
All right, that's it. The only thing there, so you can't miss it. And you just
Oh,
we can
shit.
just look at him holding the kid, I guess.
Whoops. I do not know how to do this. Let's try.
I got it.
I'll say, hold on.
You want to do it? Or?
I'm gonna try it and see if I can figure this shit out. I'm gonna have to do it.
Okay, because I already got it up. So just let me know.
Oh, Speed Racer. I'm impressed. Operation.
That's what she said.
Yeah, you're going ahead.
I got it. All right, I got you, bro.
We don't even have to listen to it. Just watch it, so you know I'm not BSing.
Things did not happen here until Saturday. If you look around here, for Mayfield, in Muhlenberg County, and a
A few
number
more
of
minutes until he gets in there.
you might think that we are broken, but we are not.
What time does he get in?
Kentucky, we are good people. We love one another.
Al, when does Biden come in?
Sorry, I was on mute. Hold on. It's about 3:20. No, hold on. Is it 3? 3 minutes.
And the president loves me.
Kentucky, because we're hurting. I'm so thankful for the full, unwavering support of our federal delegation.
Check out the Pfizer ad.
President has said yes to every ask we've made.
Oh, Chris, you got to
You
mute.
know he's going to have some news about another ask that I made.
There we go. I'm going ahead.
One that I thought there was no way that we could get a yes to. But it's going to mean the federal government isn't just here, isn't just doing things we've never seen before, but is fully behind every single family that has suffered any loss. On behalf of Brittany and I, to the people of Kentucky, we love you. And I never thought in my life I'd be able to introduce a president. And I wish there were different circumstances. But I'm still very honored to be able to introduce a president in my dad.
This is Dane. Dane lived down the street. And Dane and he has cousins who are all together. And one cousin, I don't know where she is. There she is. Come on up here, honey. Can you see me? Come here. She is about to graduate from UK on Friday. And I just want you to meet him. I'm sorry to keep you all waiting, but I got a chance to hang out with the whole extended family down there. And I want you to meet a soon-to-be graduate who wants to go on to graduate school. Come on up here, honey.
We're proud of you. We're proud of you.
Abby is here, and we're going to figure something special for her graduation day. But imagine that. This Friday, she graduates from UK. I kid and say.
What he's been up there like 5 minutes and hasn't said but one word? I mean, has he said anything? I
don't get the purpose of him always wanting to have some. Who was telling him, yeah, you need to have a kid up there for the photo op, and that's just that. I don't get the point of that.
Marcus, do you think it might have something to do with the student loan issue? Maybe bringing in the university student.
That's why you would bring the university student in here to try to act like he's being compassionate. So
right.
But we all know that this old geriatric fuck doesn't give a shit about anybody. Sorry if I'm.
Oh
I
my
got a little bit
gosh.
more piss and vinegar tonight. Uh, but I don't like this man.
Nobody
And you know
does.
how people used to say, well, you should never wish anything bad on people. And my mom, coming from a Christian home, my mom would always say stuff like, you should never hate anybody. And I'm like, why? And then I later on I read in the Bible where it does say that God hates people. So I don't get the whole not hating, because I do hate people like Biden. Like, actually hate them. And I do wish bad things upon them. And I'm not afraid to say so. I'm not saying I'm going to do anything to this old geriatric, but man, if he could just get out of the shower and just slip the wrong way, that would really make my day.
They would cover it up.
Oh no, I don't care if they cover it or not. Just get a nice knot in the back of his fucking head.
I mean, he's even confirmed
Chris,
that
you can
she's
unmute.
president in all but name.
Chris, we can't hear you.
So
I was gonna say just so you fall bust his ass and then get him out of here, get the next one in there. And since we're speaking of these people, did anybody happen to catch the Charlemagne Kamala Harris
I
interview?
oh my god!
Could I just say something
Like,
about
Buzz.
that? If you like do like
I've
a
never heard in my whole
an
life.
intro.
They tried to make it seem like she burned him, and I'm like, that's not a burn. I don't, or that's not a win. Or
I'm not alone.
right?
Thank
I
you,
saw
Glory.
that.
Thank you. It's ironic that you brought this up, because I was talking to as you see him in the chat, Fuzz the Fair, before I got on, and I was telling him I should talk about Kamala. I was like, nah, I don't want to talk about Kamala. But I guess since we broached the topic, that was not a telling off. That it almost felt a little staged, honestly.
It was. Thank you.
Yeah,
Gosh.
it did. Thank you.
It was
Somebody
so
else was like,
staged. Like,
it
who
just-
gives
it
a shit about Joe
screamed fake
Manchin?
to
Nobody
me.
thinks Joe Manchin is running the fucking presidency. That's ridiculous. That was the most ridiculous thing he could have said.
Yes, me and Glory, we here tonight. Boy, we here tonight. I mean, I look at it like this. They had to find a way to get her crowd, amped up. And what better way than for her to go on a show and bring back old Kamala, the Kamala that was going after people, because that's the only Kamala they can think of that people actually even somewhat like. But here's the thing: it only works if you're doing that on somebody who's more hated than you. It doesn't work the same way when you go against Charlemagne the God, who people actually like. Only people who thought that was interesting is the DC Beltway crowd and that one dude who's always fucking bitching and moaning on Twitter who fucking loves Kamala. That's the only people give a shit. Bruh, WTF. Was that
you.
impossible looking set they were on to? Oh, wow.
That set was weird.
Yes.
It was
I never even heard of
weird.
this show. I didn't even know he had a show. That was good promo, I guess.
Yes. And as someone who's half Jamaican, fuck Kamala extra. Exactly.
Yeah.
She gives half Jamaicans a bad name. Good thing we have Glory here to give it a good name.
I didn't understand what the whole problem was.
Exactly.
I didn't understand what the
Yeah.
problem was.
They were
Let's
talking
keep
about
it-
that in the
let's keep it-
comments.
Let's keep it in memory. Let's not let anybody ever fucking forget that that's what she did. The old Kamala kept people on death row and people like this. So, yes, she kept people just like Charlemagne. I said Charlemagne. People just like Charlemagne, people who look just like his ass on death row, had no problem about it. And while we're roasting her, let's not forget that she comes from, her ancestors are part of the biggest plantation owners in Jamaica. Let's not forget that.
The Browns. Yeah.
Yeah, let's not forget that.
Mhm.
Let's say,
And they don't even mess with her.
yeah, they don't.
And they don't even like her.
And
They
then
were
her
trying
calling,
to promote that she was such a good AG, and I'm like, we must be living in
Huh,
alternate
she was
universes. 'cause-
awful.
Right, I
voted
was like,
for
we
a
must have been living
Republican
in
over her.
alternate universes.
Well, not really, but
that never
she might as
happened.
well have been.
Mm-hmm.
I voted for someone who had no fucking experience over her, just so somebody else would win the Senate seat. But then it ended up being her anyway.
Mm-hmm.
Carla
Unless-
Maine.
While people are waking up, trust and believe they are building up a force against resistance. They're getting ready.
Yes.
Are you? Yeah, they're trying to
They
buffer
are.
away. They know Old Man Winter, other known as Biden, is on his last fucking leg, and they got to
Right.
figure something out. They know that they can't swap her out because if they swap her out, you can only basically swap her for who? What? Stacey Abrams. That's probably about it. If you do anybody else that is not a woman of color, it'll be smoke in the city. Let's just say that. So they know they can't just automatically swap in Pete like they would like to. So what they're trying to angle for is to possibly make him, VP or some shit in what they call the dream ticket or what some of us call the ticket from hell. So I don't know. I guess they figure, you know what? We're stuck with her now. Let's just try to do our best to try to, make it look good. Chris, I know you got some thoughts. I want to hear it. Let it go.
Well, I don't care for Kamala at all. One, two, they thought Charlemagne was going to be a safe space, which he pretty much is, right? Maybe every once in a while.
Oh yeah, we know who's in trouble.
uh,
Hey, we got Tina in the house.
Tina, what's going on?
What up?
And I see our friend from across the waters, Uma, is in the building. How we doing tonight, Uma?
And Kelly.
Oh, I didn't see Kelly come in. All right, I'm backed up. Sorry. Go ahead, Chris.
No, just that they figured Charlemagne was safe enough, right? For her to go on. And even his little basic ass, oh yeah, I saw that comment too. But even his questions got her riled up and got them to stop the show, or to just stop the question or the interview rather. It was just so corny. As you guys said earlier, it seems so staged and it's so carefully managed. She was looking like a deer in the headlights.
Well,
I can't. It's
Chris,
difficult to listen to them or to pay attention to them like that.
What it felt like, Chris, is this because he kept asking that same question over and over, like as to get a reaction out of her.
Yep.
And it's almost like, hey, here's the cue. Let me throw the alley-oop one more time and see if you'll catch it this time. And it's like on the third time, I'm Kamala Harris. I'm like, yeah. Bitch, of course. He knows. He wouldn't have had you on there if you weren't Kamala Harris. He knows who the fuck you are. You don't have to tell people who you are. If you need to tell somebody who you are, then you're probably not shit. That's one.
I'm the vice president.
I'm the vice president.
Right. She kept trying to downplay that she's not the president. She's the vice president.
Well, it's not about her downplaying it. It's about making people. It's trying to assert yourself. I don't know if you guys follow Game of Thrones or watch it at all, but remember that one line. If you got to tell people you're the king, then you're not really much of a king. That's Kamala. If you got to tell people you're the vice president, then you're not very much of a vice president. And she's trying to assert that, no, I am doing stuff. I am doing this. You ain't doing shit. And in fact, most vice presidents don't do shit. Let's just be honest. The only one that really did anything was Dick Cheney because the puppet was actually in the front this time completely. I mean, nothing going on up here with W. Not at all. I'm pretty sure he was like, I can't wait to get out of here so I can slam some beers and crush them on my forehead. I mean, I don't think nothing was going on with that dude.
He was like, I did 9/11? What?
Now, see, I thought it was a tie between Pence supposedly maybe running and that comment where Biden accidentally called Kamala President Harris instead of Vice President Harris. What was that, like a week ago, a couple of days ago, a week ago, something like that? That's what I thought it was for.
He does it every so often.
Right.
Yes, because and this I don't think that they're doing on accident. What's up, Indie News? We got INN in the building. Fuck CNN. So I honestly feel like because everybody know he got that little dementia slip. What he's gonna do is throw out, president. Oops, I slipped.
Oh.
That way he can get people to kind of get used to saying president.
They had
I don't
the
even want
nerve.
to say it.
Hold on,
Oh yeah,
real
yeah.
quick.
We
Sorry.
should do that clip.
They had the nerve to say this. What Glory said.
Mm-hmm.
They said it's going to.
You mean the same tax credit that ends at like the end of the month or something like that? Okay.
Thank you, E.
That same tax credit that's about to expire, right? That was like the wrong
but that's
thing.
because of
That's the
BBB.
wrong
They
hill to
gotta
die on.
push BBB, and then they'll get it. They have to hold everyone hostage for it. With the BBB. They call it the BBB. It sounds so sweet. It sounds so cool.
Even though they're
BBB
talking about
instead of
shelving
Build
it
That
for
Better.
what? Voting rights? Oh, give me a break.
All of it is just so it's
just smoke. It's just
is
smoke, mirrors.
It's bullshit.
What it reminds me of, honestly, and this might seem a little off topic, but this kind of reminds me of what somebody said the other day about another shit lib I can't stand. Walker Bragman. He tries to play this like I'm part of the working people, and then you have to remember this bitch is nothing but Hampton's little spoiled kid. And so he's disconnected, and so he tries to feel out the room and then try to figure out how he can fit with it. This is the same thing with the whole Biden-Kamala resistance crowd. They're all reaching around in the dark, hoping they can grab something to hang on to because they're so out of touch with everything that's going on. I love what Glory says here. Great comment. Let's bring it up. Big baller brain.
Hey, he's got two kids he's got two sons in the league, right? One is in the G League, so you know.
Did y'all hear about Kyrie?
No, LeVar, the Ball family, LeVar Ball's sons.
LaMelo and what was it? I can't say the other one's name.
Yes, they did, Variant. That's exactly what they did. They technically called it it's technically in advance. The child tax credit was technically in advance.
Well, and that's another thing. Oh, thank you, LaMelo. Yeah.
Yeah, LaMelo, LiAngelo, Lonzo.
LaMarcus. That's funny. That is funny. And what they're trying to do is, and that's what people don't realize also. Lonzo. That's the other one I was trying to remember. What people don't think about is it's the same thing which he did with the $1,400 or whatever. A lot of people were so happy to get that money in their pocket, and then tax season came around. They're like, "Hey, well, you're gonna have to pay that money back." And it's the same.
Even more so.
And the shitty part about it is one of the people who gets a lot of credit for a lot of these great ideas, who pushed that and was pushing that and for everything else, has been Bernie Sanders. That idea came from him.
Yeah. Could I just say, also on top of that is the unemployment benefits, which you do have to fucking pay. I paid taxes for the first fucking time on a tax form last year because of unemployment, which is absolutely insane to me. And then this year, I'll probably have to do the same. And I'm getting fucked on taxes every paycheck. Every fucking paycheck. We're getting more fucked in California. I don't know if it's everywhere else. But it's way more in taxes that they're taking out now than ever before.
Yeah, I got to read this Kelly comment. It kind of made me shudder to think about this. President Harris, VP Mayo, been expecting that for a year now. Pete has been all over Bloomberg TV lately. So the times, they are changing. Yeah, he's trying his best there. Well, because here's another thing also. You don't necessarily have to be popular to win at president. A lot of times it's just getting your name out there. That's a big part of the game, just people knowing who the hell you are. And if you're getting saturated in the media and other people, they don't hear about them at all, then it detracts from those other people who might try to run against you, who might actually be worth a damn. Not saying that I think that anybody's going to run who's going to be worth a damn. I'm just saying. Let's see. And one other comment here from Mr. Street. Sad but true. Our global friends and allies are left to defend themselves. I'm feeling a certain way to be a part of the biggest sellout in history. Yeah. And Thomas says, there goes my refund. Yeah, I mean, all of this is a hustle game. And if you look at what they're doing with the inflation and you hear comments from people like Joe Manchin, ironically, what we brought up, their mindset is, and this is what the elites have always tried to do. The way that they try to handle inflation is they got to drop your wages. They got to drop the money in your pocket. That's the way inflation gets fixed. You know. So, oh, what was that sound I keep hearing? But anyway, what was that other next topic that we should get on to? Oh yeah. Another thing with the Kentucky thing is I got the feeling that we're going to see a lot more things like this. Another thing that was really, really strange about it is, I mean, for somebody who grew up in Tornado Alley, tornadoes normally don't happen this late. It's very, very, very rare, even in the Tornado Alley. But for one to happen this late and in Kentucky of all places, you know, I don't know. It just seems really, really odd. I'm not saying that anybody has any power over this necessarily, but maybe it should be a sign that we should all kind of have our heads on a swivel for more crazy things to start happening. Yeah. Let's see. And the other topic that I wanted to get to and talk about a little bit, a young 23-year-old trucker gets 110 years for a accident. You know, granted, tragically, four people lost their lives in this. But can somebody? I mean, because I almost lose words for this. It just kind of makes me upset. I had to explain this my perspective to somebody online who was taking more of a harsher approach. So I don't know if anybody. I'll let everybody else kind of give me your thoughts on this first before I kind of just go into what I think. You know, maybe you guys can say, you know what, maybe he is more liable for this.
I mean, who wants to go first?
Well, you can go ahead first, E, since you're already off mute.
Sure. This is the funniest thing. I heard it and I immediately thought automation, self-driving trucks. I thought I had heard something about. I thought I had heard something about like them starting prototyping a self-trucking loop. So maybe a PR stunt, maybe to make truckers driving look bad, because of course automation looks better to the trucker, because the trucker does the automation doesn't have to sleep, doesn't have to, doesn't make mistakes. You can follow it, et cetera, et cetera. So that's what I honestly thought hearing it, because the sentencing seemed.
I didn't even think about that. I did not think about that. Hey, Jack. Yeah,
seemed weird. That number seemed weird. That was just my honest theory thinking about it. I was like.
And Shadow Band says, yes, Emmanuel, this is the precedent. This is why it's been so publicized. It's in the infrastructure bill. Wow. Mm-hmm. And I noticed, I think Mr. Street asked what happened. What happened was the young man was driving a semi. He was going downhill, and well, from what I read about it, because they don't really go into full detail. They just say that he crashed into 4 people and killed them. He did not take the runoff lane. Is that the actual video? Yeah. Well, I guess going ahead and play that, and then I guess I can explain a little bit more afterwards, Chris.
Tonight, investigators poring over a horrific crash scene after a collision on Thursday exploded into an inferno.
All you hear is this big, huge boom, and then the big black smoke just kind of went off all over.
Burning vehicles scattered across Interstate 70, some drivers still inside.
Multiple injuries, entrance ramp to I-70 eastbound, need lots of medics.
The carnage was significant, just unbelievable.
Rush hour traffic at a standstill.
We just cured anxiety.
Oh my God!
This driver capturing a shocking moment just before the crash. A tractor trailer barreling down the shoulder.
We almost died.
Caught in the aftermath, 24 cars and 4 semi-trucks. One of them, a flatbed carrying lumber, driven by the man police say started the deadly chain reaction.
He loses control of the vehicle. He can't stop, doesn't stop, and ends up colliding with several cars.
There is part of the semi-truck.
The driver, 23-year-old Rogelio Aguilera Madero, suffered minor injuries. Detectives confirming he was not under the influence of drugs or alcohol. But tonight, he's in custody, facing 4 counts of vehicular homicide and assault.
And tonight, police tell me they do plan to examine the brakes of that truck in question, but say they gathered enough evidence here at the scene to show that that suspect was driving recklessly. He'll be formally charged tomorrow.
So that is what happened. I guess I'll go into my thoughts a little bit later. I guess I'll let you, Chris, I guess go ahead and lead in. I mean, I have some experience driving semi, so I'll give you my thoughts afterwards. But Chris, go ahead.
Oh, I mean, I saw this online earlier. At least part of the story. It's messed up. I think there was a mechanical issue where the driver said the brakes weren't working as they should, and he just ended up going a little too fast, and those people died. It's an unfortunate circumstance. I think the point somebody was trying to make is that there was another driver of a different background, shall we say, similar circumstances, except in that there were 4 deaths. However, that driver was under the influence, and he didn't receive 110 years. So I think that's part of the reason why this also, came up as well, because a lot of people started doing the comparisons and looking at what the time was for driver A versus driver B. The usual disparities in sentencing and everything else. So I doubt we should really be surprised.
Yeah, I mean, that's what I thought. Also, the judge made some comments saying that he didn't really have a choice. He had to give him those sentencing because give him that kind of sentencing because of that's what the law stated for that area. I would call bullshit on that. But
it's like the judge who gave that kid, the rich white guy who raped the girl behind the dumpster, right? He said, "Oh, your life is too purposeful. Your future's too bright for you to go to jail. So, you can get out." But the other guy who's guilty of the same crime, he has to go to prison for several years. So it's kind of like same situation. Or at least it seems that.
What came to mind for me was I can't remember his name. Let me see if I can find it. But I don't know if you guys remember that Olympic swimmer. What was his name?
Is it Michael Phelps?
Are you talking about Ryan
No. Bruce Kimball. Bruce Kimball was the man I'm thinking about. This happened in like 1988, 89. He was, I guess he had just made the team. He was off he was off, I guess, celebrating or whatever. An area in Tampa, Florida, where a lot of kids kind of hang out and get together and drink. He went through that area, way over the limit, plowed through. I think it was like maybe 7 or 8 kids who were out. Well, it was more kids than that, but I think he hit like 7 or 8 kids. A handful of them went to the hospital, and I believe 2 actually died. He got 17 years in prison, 15 years probation, and is out now. I guess I'll go into some of my thoughts after Elle. What's some of your thoughts on this?
Oh, I was just saying, like, the whole thing is so strange and just didn't seem intentional from that bit that we saw. And so it's funny that you mentioned that guy, the guy who rammed into people intentionally for, what people could see at the time. And that dude has been kind of like out of the limelight. Like they're not really talking about him as much in the media now, and barely got any attention from the president himself, who's got to look at everything apparently now. But, for a photo op. But he got away with, horrible acts against other people, and now this guy gets all this time. Absolutely ridiculous, because 110 years isn't even possible unless you have really, really good metabolism and a really good family tree.
Well, yeah, it's
most
literally
people do
not
not live
possible.
to 100 years.
Well, he would
Let
be. That
alone
would make him
150 or whatever.
133.
Yeah, how old was he again?
He's 23.
23. Yeah, and his life is essentially over if he is actually sentenced to that. Was this just a charge that could be, or is this a sentencing that he had? He hasn't been to court yet? No.
No, that
Or
was
arraigned?
that was his sentencing.
That was his sentence. So he's got to look at parole. He's got to look at how he can get parole for killing people accidentally with a vehicle.
Well, yeah, we'll go into like the other half of that because I've been kind of following this story. Thomas said here, where was that comment? I want to bring it back up. Oh, if I can remember how to do this. Okay, still learning on my. Okay, there it is. Thomas says, I have drove 18-wheelers. Brakes have to be checked and maintenance almost daily because freeway/city driving and hard braking can wear down the brakes. What happened is, and this is something which happens even if you check your brakes on a regular, because I drove trucks also, just different. I drove in the military. I was an ordnance driver. And if you are going a little bit too fast, brakes can freeze up on you. Now, a lot of people were putting out there, he was going 40 miles over the speed limit. He wasn't going 40 miles over the speed limit at the time when he had the brake failure, because he hit the people at the point where he actually made contact with the other vehicles, where the whole inferno happened. He was going 85 at that point in time. What happened is he was probably going maybe a little over the speed limit. And then the moment he came over the hill, because he was going down a hill at the time when he lost control of his brakes. The moment he went over that hill a little bit fast, maybe he was going maybe 55 and a 45. I don't imagine he would have been going very, very much faster than that. Let's give it 60. Let's say he was going 15 over. If you catch over the side of that other hill, going downhill with that much weight behind you, yes, those brakes can heat up really too fast. They can heat up really fast and then not be able to enact for you. That would cause you to start picking up more and more and more speed, which took him up to, the speed of about 85 miles an hour. A lot of people out there said, well, he had runoff ramps and he didn't take the runoff ramps, and he could have did this and he could have did that. First of all, I want to say he was a young and inexperienced driver. That said, even being young and inexperienced, most people have no understanding of what it's like to be behind the wheel of a vehicle that size and it goes out of control on you. Everybody can sit at home and make their declarations on what he should have done, never being in that circumstance. I've been in the circumstance when I've been behind the wheel and you don't have complete control over that vehicle at the point in time. When I was in Italy, going around very, very sharp corners, I've had cars cut me off and slam on the brakes and then start skidding. When you're skidding towards a cliff, I understand what that panic is like. And a lot of people will say, well, he could have took the runoff ramp. Well, what they don't tell you about those runoff ramps is many cases when you take those runoff ramps, if they're the ones which have the sand at the end, those that are like that, those older ones, you have the impact of going 85 miles an hour and stopping abruptly in a very, very close space. More than likely, what's going to happen to you is that's almost a death sentence. Slamming into something that fast. Even if you reduce, say it dropped down from 85 and it maybe 75. You're still going really, really fast at that point, and it's not going to reduce it that much. Another thing, if you just have the runoff ones, there's plenty of times when the truck has went all the way up those hills, it has tipped over and then started tumbling down the hill. That would have mean he would have been tumbling right back down the hill into traffic that he was just avoiding, which more than likely would have had the same results or worse. The other possibility is it doesn't slow you down enough. Nothing at the top stops you, and you go over and you go airborne in that truck. I guarantee you he knew that, and all of these things are going through his mind at the time when he's trying to figure out what the hell he should do. Now, if you guys are put in the situation of hopefully these brakes can re-engage, I can put these brakes on, control it, stop it. Most people would be thinking that or trying to do that. I don't think very many people are automatically going to decide, you know what, I'm just going to go straight into this runoff lane, which I could survive and I could die. There have been cases where they do go into the runoff lane and are able to, get it control, and maybe the brakes re-engage. Maybe it slows down enough. It's a lot. No matter what's going on, there's a lot of ifs and ands there. And I hear a lot of Monday morning quarterbacking on something that a lot of people have no clue about and don't have an understanding on what it's like to be in that situation. I mean, I'm not saying that he should get off scot-free. I mean, and I got to stop using that term. I hate that term. But I'm not saying he should get off without any kind of penalty. But 110 years is extremely cruel and excessive. What I said is, if I was judged, more than likely it would have been maybe a 4-year sentence, maybe about 10 years probation, and possibly that his license would have been, as far as Class C or semi-license, that would have been taken for good. So he would have had to just, once he got out, get another job doing something else. You're not driving semis anymore. That was my assessment. But for some of these people, I think that they're not thinking about the totality of all the things that were going on in that moment. Elle, you want to say something?
I read that he was he put up an appeal. They're appealing the sentencing. So we'll see what happens with that. And people are outraged all over the place, apparently. So hopefully that will make it easier to go through. But the judge, like that's insane. Like, there's no precedent for that. Like, you can't even name a precedent, and you're saying, "Oh, my hands are tied." I was just watching this little clip of him. He's like, "My hands are tied by the Colorado laws." No, they're not. Fuck off. Like, this is unprecedented. Shut up.
Yeah, I mean, and this is a good point Mr. Street brought up. Flatbeds do not have the option of slamming on brakes like a box trailer. Soon as he would have jammed on the brakes, lumber would have flew in more cars' windshield, or more than likely, he would have, that whole tail, once he slammed on the brakes, if they would have engaged, because more than likely we're talking about air brakes here, the trailer itself would have been skidding, and that trailer would have just swung all the way around and cleared out everybody else behind him. And at that point, once that much weight got swinging, no telling what would have happened. The whole truck could have started twisting and flipping right there on the highway. And I guarantee you, more people would have hit that truck itself, because if you're already going 60, 70 miles an hour, how's everybody going to slam on the brakes and stop from hitting this truck? Or if a car is going a little bit slower, it's going to catch up and start tumbling over them. It was a tragic situation. It was bad all the way around. And good point here, that's what happened in my case. Let's not forget, people are ass clowns driving around semis. I've watched a car get completely ran over by a semi because they decided they want to try to cut around and zip in between stuff. People need to have more understanding in those situations of how dangerous what they're doing is.
Mm-hmm.
Let's see. Yeah, flatbed cargo is a whole nother story going into a runway ramp. I've talked to other drivers, and they said that I'm not so sure I would have went in that ramp, because they said that I'm certain you would have went airborne. And this is drivers who have driven for 20 years have told me they're not certain they would have went in there. There's a reason why only 9 times this year people have used runaway ramps in that state. There's a reason why. It's not that there was only 9 times where people were in a situation for that. It's because there's a possibility that you can get the truck back under control. Your brakes can re-engage. If you're able to glide and slow down a little bit or whatever, they can cool off with enough wind blowing and then be able to possibly re-engage. That is a possibility. So I don't have a doubt that that's what he was hoping for and trying. People were like, well, he dodged around the semis and he was only hitting cars. You guys really think that this guy was like, well, I don't want to hit the semis because it'll jack me up, so let me find some small cars to break my fall, basically. I mean, that's just not logical. So yeah, sorry to go on and on that. Anybody else got any thoughts? Yeah, sure.
I have an update on the vaccine mandate from OSHA.
Oh yeah, before we get into that, I forgot one more thing I wanted to say about the trucker. So far there has been a petition that's been started, and pretty sure you guys can try to search it out and find it. If you can, if you can find it, or Chris, find that and put that in the chat. So far I believe it's up to 3 million people have signed it, to at least try to get some kind of clemency or get his sentence reduced. Also, the semi drivers in that state are currently on strike. So just wanted to say that last little bit.
Good luck to him, because that's a precedent. That
over 3 million, signed the petition.
Good luck to him.
Yeah, go on ahead, El.
Trying to see if I can find the petition. There it is, change.org. Okay. All right, I'll put it in the private chat.
Yeah, Kelly says here. Northeast Oregon is full of truck runaway ramps. It's frightening. And I understand that. I guarantee you it's frightening. I mean, my prayers are just with him. That's all I can say.
I hope that looks normal because I'm in Thailand right now, so it's in Thai. Some of it should be in English where you are. Anyway, the vaccine mandate situation is once again in limbo when it comes to OSHA. So you guys know that
Okay,
it
just
went
to clarify.
Sixth Circuit.
Wait, just to clarify, is it the 4th booster or the 3rd booster
that we're supposed to be on? Well, 4th in Israel, and this one's going to be the one that works. This one is going to really do it.
Okay, so we're in the 4th
You sure it's going to be the 4th, or is the 5th one going to be the one?
Well, it might be an annual thing. We'll see what happens.
No, it might be vaccine 4. Go for it, vaccine 4.
Well, but you know what? I've always heard, 7 is the lucky number. So
there you go. Is this a petition?
Because 1 was the loneliest number, right?
Yep.
1 is the loneliest. No, just
4 million now signatures.
Good.
Is that
all right?
Is Al? You asked him to pull up this article, right?
Yeah, so you can see the number of people who are supporting him.
The petition.
He seems very distraught about everything. He's not like, yeah, look what happened. Like, it's ridiculous.
No, I read
his
some
life
of
is
his
ruined.
comments. I read his comments, and he said that he feels miserable every day. He's woke up and feels horrible. And I mean, I guess a little backstory. When I worked corrections, I had a kid who was in there. His teacher had the day off, was literally across town. Somehow, this kid, he's speeding through traffic, and all of us have sped through traffic. And he just happened to, the person he hit and killed happened to be his favorite teacher. Now, the news, they show that part and they show some of the emotion there. I know what it's like to be sitting there talking to a person who was in his shoes and to see how they react. That kid every day was miserable. I mean, we literally had to put him on suicide watch because he didn't want to, we couldn't hardly get him to eat. He didn't want to do anything. He was miserable. And then you're going to add, a prison sentence like that on top of a guy when he already feels like crap. I mean, it's almost like begging the guy to commit suicide because I can't imagine the level of depression and sorrows that he already has. And it's tragic all the way around. That's all I can say.
Yeah. Well, yeah.
Ulma says each country has its laws, traffic incidents that are both likely and likable and different, but it's no different. No problem can be solved in traffic accidents in a way. This is 100% in spite of severe. Yeah, it's severe spite, definitely. Yeah.
Oh, shoot.
I mean, we get what you were trying to say. But yeah, if this is just spiteful and just mean-spirited and hateful, well,
in spite of severe penalties, that's what she said.
Oh,
it cut it off because I ran out of.
Oh, I see. Penalties on there.
I ran out of letters, so I had to continue it.
But that's America in general. They're about we need to punish you as hard as we can. It's not
unless
about,
you commit war crimes. Then you don't get any.
I'm talking about on average folks, on the people who are at the bottom. It has to be some kind of revenge or retribution in a sense. That's how our legal system responds to these types of things.
Yep. Well, speaking of the legal system, the Sixth Court of Appeals got the OSHA mandate, the stay that they had, and decided to dissolve it. So that's fun, from the Fifth Circuit of Appeals. And now it's supposed to go to SCOTUS, to the Supreme Court, which is where we knew it would end up in the first place. In the meantime, it's an emergency action, right? And nobody's doing anything. They're not until January, allegedly. So, like, I'll share this little stupid ass article right here. They're going to make businesses or start fining businesses if they don't do the testing or vaccination thing until, by January 10th. So I got that little article there we can look at from Business Insider. They're the insider. They know what's going on everywhere. They got so many publications now. Is there anything that's not an insider now? Like, have you noticed that on Twitter? Like, it's Politics Insider, it's Business Insider, it's Sports Insider. I don't know, some random shit. You are muted.
Who, me?
Okay. Oh, I meant Chris.
This the article, right? This the one you wanted, right? Out.
Yeah. So that's the news from 7 hours ago.
You're going to have to teach me how to do this, Chris.
They will not fine businesses for COVID-19 testing requirements until at least February 9th. And the Sixth U.S. Circuit of Court of Appeals on Friday reinstated the mandate for businesses with more than 100 employees, which again just doesn't make sense because according to the Fifth Circuit of Appeals, they were saying that how can you apply that for 100 or more employees and call it an emergency action, an emergency temporary standard, and then not do it for the people under 99. So it just doesn't make sense. If it's an emergency, it should apply to everyone. And then they also mentioned that the Congress is supposed to get involved and have a say in this, and they don't. So a lot of people are acting like this is a win on Twitter because they're stupid. And they think that that this is going to help get rid of Omicron, which it won't. And Omicron is not even that big a deal, according to South Africa, the health minister there.
Well, according to the numbers, just in general, yes, okay, there's been some cases, but there's not a lot of deaths and mortality is what I'm hearing.
And who knows if it's the same thing as like comorbidities with the COVID thing, like with COVID instead of from COVID, you know, that these people this person who died might have had other conditions at the time. Do you know for businesses with how many employees? Yeah, like I said, 100 or more employees are going to face this mandate and face the testing requirements. I just love living in a world where you can't go anywhere without showing that you don't have a disease in order to go anywhere. It's absolutely insane, which is not even technically a disease when it starts. It's just, you know, a coronavirus, as we say, and then it turns into a disease depending on the condition of the person who gets it, according to the data that is actually available to everyone. And most of the time, you'd be obese to have that.
As long as there's a narrative of what do they call it? The pandemic of the unvaccinated.
Yes, that's BS.
Right. That's a dumb name. That's like the dumbest name. That's like the dumbest phrasing I've ever heard in my whole life.
They've never been more transparent in their plans than they are now across the board, across every country. It's obvious what they're doing.
Yeah. I agree.
And then they have people turning against family members and stuff. Like, it's just so ridiculous, the whole thing. And they have like cases where there's one case where this guy wanted his daughter or his son not to get vaccinated, and then the mother took him to court and then got permission to do it instead of, honoring his wishes and just being like, no, I'm gonna get them vaccinated, fuck you. So it's just ridiculous to see all this happening. Quite dystopian future we're at. And the Pfizer guy, Albert Bourla, the CEO, says it won't be over until 2024, probably. Well, that's news to World Bank, because World Bank, in their document, said that they had this preparedness for this project to prepare for the COVID-19 until March 2025. So just 3 more years to slow the spread. We're going to flatten that curve eventually.
Hell, I did notice the same thing there. That Pfizer said, "Oh yeah, just till 2024. Not that big of a deal. You'll just come in and you'll get, your medicine, your serum every so often. Everything will be okay."
Yeah, because it completely has nothing to do with us making sure that we have reoccurring customers. Clearly couldn't have anything to do with that, to keep our share prices and profits up. Could not have anything to do with that at all.
That's
Right?
why they show the profits in the corner of the screen on all of these networks. They don't want you to think about it or look at it.
Well, my thing is, if we already know that we like this is something I told people, just a thought experiment. If you had to think of corrupt politician over the past, who's been the most corrupt politician over the past 30, 40 years in Washington, who would that be? I mean, you can go through maybe a list of about 5 people who have been around that long, and there's a good strong argument to say that our current president would be within that top 5 of most corrupt politicians over all this time period. We also have Big Pharma, which right before the pandemic, everybody was pretty much skeptical of anything that they said or did.
Yep.
And now all of that is completely forgotten, and everybody is trusting one of the most corrupt one of the most corrupt politicians, definitely at least in my lifetime.
Mm-hmm.
And I am looked at, and our team over here is looked at as crazy to question any of it. Which I ask, are we in make-believe land, or what is going on that everybody can have that much cognitive dissonance? How is everybody just like, okay, we forgot about what just happened the year before this and the year before that? Like, history just doesn't matter at all. So what if they were bad one day? Or you know what? Maybe it's because of too much TV. Let's blame it on TV. Because you know how TV, this person, they were the villain, but now there's a worse villain. So now the villain is buddies with the other guy. And it doesn't matter that you killed my brother. Now we're on the same team together and we're all working it out. I don't know. Maybe TV has done that to people and mushed the brains. I don't get it. Like,
no, you know what you are, Marcus? You're like the dude who watches the show like 5 minutes in and is like, okay, he's dead. He's dead. That guy screwed over the other guy. The MacGuffin's here. The plot is this. And then the show is over. And they're like, well, you ruined the whole show for me. Because you did. Because you told me all of it. I hate you. That's who you are.
Guilty as charged. I was just telling a friend of mine before I got on here. I was like, I don't even really watch most of these programs, and like, I don't watch them as entertainment anymore. I watch them as, okay, so people who have got away with everything, what new little secret are you going to put in this movie to tell us about what you've already done and gotten away with? Or what are you going to tell us that you plan to do and get away with? I mean, especially the last couple of years of watching a lot of this programming, it has been mind-boggling to me, like watching some of the shit that's been in programs. I mean, I think about how many shows where it's been talking about some forms of locking people down.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I'm trying to think of what was the name of that show that I used to watch. I don't know if you guys can help me remember. It was like Sarah Wayne Callies and the guy who, what's his name, Josh something, the guy who played in Sawyer from Lost. And this, in all these movies, what it is it's always an alien. It's always some kind of outside force, an alien, robots, something who is colony. Thank you, El.
Okay.
It's always.
I knew that like 2 minutes ago, but okay.
Yeah, it's always some outside force that is going to come and lock everybody down. Outside force locking everybody down. Come on, people, think about it just a little bit. Look a little deeper, just like when I was having my discussion with Kamali. It's bigger than just stopping capitalists. Capitalism
It's bigger
is
than
just,
capitalists.
Yes, capitalism is just a tool that's being used, just like communism has been used and socialism has been used.
All the isms.
And feudalism has been used. All the isms. All they are, they're like, oh, well, shit. Most of the people don't like this form that we've got out. So let's reformat it in another way to make them think that it's something different. It's just like when I listen to, and I'm sorry, I'm going to go into a little soapbox rant here. I watch plenty of smart commentators out there, and they can tell you how corrupt everything is. Election process, all this stuff is extremely corrupt. And this person, I'm gonna throw out this one name because it's easier to blame it all on a big name for the time being. Jimmy Dore. And don't get me wrong, I think everybody has a purpose, and there's always something to gain and learn from everybody out there. But I listened to Jimmy Dore talk about how corrupt the Republicans are, how corrupt the Democrats are, how corrupt the Green Party is. I'm going to go for the MPP party. What do you think that's going to do? Not a damn thing. Get it in your heads. None of these voting, electoral politics, none of this shit's going to matter. It's above that. I mean, insanity is continuing to try to do the same thing over and over and over and thinking you're going to have different results. You guys have tried the Democrats. You've tried the Republicans. You've tried libertarians, some of you guys. You tried the People's Party. You're going to try DSA. You're going to try. None of this shit is going to work. And I know it's hard for some people to actually process the fact of, fuck, there ain't much I can do in this situation. Sometimes it bees that way. Mm-hmm. That's all I'm saying. Sometimes it is just that way where there is not much you can do. All you can do is arm yourself with knowledge and awareness of what the hell is going on and try to navigate the shit. It's just like if you're trapped out in the big ocean, you're not going to beat the ocean. You got to survive it.
Mm-hmm. Hey, Chris, did you get that document I put in there?
Oh, shit, I'm trying to do this the wrong way. Exactly. Kamali is not familiar with Hegelian dialect. Kamali is not familiar with a lot of things because he is like that old Katrina and the Sunray song. He is walking on sunshine. And when you're walking on sunshine, you believe everything is just going to be okay.
And then you get burned, and then you get mad.
Exactly.
So this is the World Bank document that I mentioned before. I tried to put it in the chat, but I don't know if it worked. But it's a whole PDF, and it shows their preparedness project for COVID. So I'm making shit up just so YouTube knows. Strategic Preparedness and Response Program. And if you go down a little more, well, we got names there, which is good, but these are the people who were at Event 201. This is not some conspiracy theory. These people, the World Bank executives, were at the tabletop exercise Event 201. You don't believe me? Go look it up. And a bank response to COVID-19. And then you keep going to the next. There it says right there, expected project approval date, April 2nd, 2020. Expected project closing date, March 31st, 2025. Expected program closing date, March 31st, 2025. So as I said, 3 years, just 3 more years to slow the spread, to flatten the curve, and to waste all this money. All this money is going towards this. And it's all our money, I'm sure. It all comes from us and then goes back to them. And then back to us. And then back to them. But that's the way it's going, guys.
I was gonna say, well, it's never, it's not our money. It's always theirs from the start, right?
Exactly. They just lend it to us, like in that Omicron clip. And then we sign for it, and then we get it back, and then it's just a cycle.
It's something that I'm trying to remember where it is. I'm trying to find it real quick. Oh, man, it was something that, what was her name? Because what you just brought up reminded me, Elle, of something that, shit, what was her name? I'm looking at her face and I can't even remember her name. Kim Iverson.
Oh, yeah.
Are you familiar with what I'm talking about, Elle?
Oh, I know who she is. I don't trust her, but I know who she. I don't trust.
No, it's not about trusting. Yeah, because I don't trust any of these people. But
no, I think she could be controlled opposition.
It was something that she had brought up about how a lot of. Let me click my camera back on. I can't remember it. Trying to remember what it is, but she basically brought up the fact of how some of this stuff. Oh, that's what it was. It was a Joe Rogan interview. What was that one? Joe Rogan interview that she did. And in that Joe Rogan interview, it was literally talking about. Hold on, I'm gonna try to see if I can figure out what it is. Man, I cannot find this. But she brought up some of these things. And I think sometimes they'll say some of this stuff just so they could say, see, we said it, we brought it up.
Yes.
And then so when it does come around, they can be able to point back to a video where they loosely brought it up, but they know what the heck is going on. I can't find it. It had something to do with Joe Rogan. So a gentleman that he had on.
McCullough?
Actually, are you? You said
Peter McCullough.
Dr. McCullough?
Doctor.
Yeah, that's what it was. You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah, that got taken from YouTube. YouTube did not like that video and took it down.
That's why I can't find it. That's why I can't find it. That makes perfect sense then.
It's on Spotify though. If you have Spotify.
Yeah. Well, no, I was thinking about pulling it up, but you know what? We probably shouldn't bring it up because then they will probably yank this one down if we do. But that should tell you guys something. If YouTube is that worried about yanking this stuff down, why? If we're all just quacks and crazy, then leave it up and laugh and mock us. You only take something down if you're worried about it and if you feel threatened.
I'll say real quick to YouTube, like you didn't take down all the Sandy Hook videos back in the day when we were looking at that shit to see what was going on. when people were like doing research and finding out what was going on with that specific case, which had like its anniversary recently of that school shooting, we were looking into it, and a lot of people were saying a lot of things then that Alex Jones said and got sent to court for, and they didn't. I'm just saying. And they didn't get banned off of these platforms either at the time. So you can bellyache about it later, but at the time you didn't really give a shit. So.
And I put this one up because, yeah, it reminded me when you brought up that Business Insider. Business Insider's been doing some pretty good work lately, so I might have to start paying a little bit more attention to them. Like
They
Kelly
got some
said,
Epstein stuff too, and
yeah,
Bill
that's
Gates
what I'm saying.
stuff.
They've been doing some good work. I've seen a handful of really good articles that they've talked about.
But they're everywhere. They
Yeah.
got everything going on.
Yeah, it says,
When
and
did they expand so much?
yeah, it says, and everyone here knows that at least 75 Congress critters bought
That's a good word.
stocks in the vaccine. I like that. We're gonna have to keep that going, Kelly. Good one, thank you.
Yeah, did you see the Pelosi clip? That was hilarious.
I couldn't believe. I couldn't believe.
It was so obvious.
Not that she said it. It was just.
She was like, yeah, no, and no to that second part right away. And let me figure out the answer for the first part.
That's me. I'm not gonna do that.
She's like, hell no, we ain't stopping that shit.
Do you know who my husband is? Yes, we do.
She's like, know how much money I'm making? We ain't stopping that.
Hundreds of millions of dollars.
Yeah, there's no reason why you should be in Congress, and Congress makes you a 100 millionaire.
Yeah, it's weird.
Well, here's the and Thomas, the reason why she did that says Kim Iverson joined the Hill, a huge corporate establishment media outlet. She used to mock MSN. She could be an op. She is an op. What she is an opportunist. That's what she is.
Yes.
This is about money in the end of the day for a lot of these commentators. Vaush outed himself just the other day and then tried to walk it back when Franco called him out. So, you fell for the bait. No, bitch. Nobody fall for the bait. We've all thought that you were, we all thought you were informant for the longest. And some of the stuff I've been hearing behind closed doors, it makes sense that you definitely would be one. Most of y'all know how most people become informants. They get caught doing some shit. And then they're compromised. And then they have to become an informant to get themselves out of trouble. Vaush is no damn different. Let's see. Oh, and welcome in the room in the chat, Caladine Cat Blessed. Gotta love that name.
So Marcus, you didn't buy Vaush's it was a joke and I tricked all of you. Ha ha ha.
Hell no, it wasn't no damn joke. The only joke is Vaush. Fucking pervert. That's the only joke. I feel like this. I bet you Vaush's own family members don't even let the kids around him. You know how a lot of people, they know that they got that one whatever in their family. Like I'll out it. I got drug addicts in my family who you better not leave shit around them. I mean, they don't tell them you got nice shit in your house. I mean, and then some people got that uncle where he always like, girl, you looking kind of good today. Oh, look at you growing up. And be like, hey, Uncle Eddie, leave her alone. She only 15. Stop. We all know in a lot of people's families, we got some of them people. And Vaush is that dirty uncle in the family that you do not leave him around the kids. Let's just say that. And I don't care if it's a boy or a girl. Don't leave none of the kids around him. I wouldn't even leave the pets around him. People like him do some nasty shit. That's all I'm saying. And I know not that long ago, people used to do a lot of gross things with animals. So I wouldn't put that past his ass either. Just saying.
Hey, Marcus, something came up. I got to run. I sent you a message in the chat.
Okay.
So anyway, I gotta go take care of something. Everybody, it was good to see y'all. Sorry it was so short today, but we'll get back another time.
Okay. Yeah, sure. We'll talk to
Love
you
you,
later,
Chris.
bro.
We'll see you, Chris.
All right, guys.
Happy holidays.
We'll talk before then, but happy holidays to anybody who isn't around, in the next go round.
Right.
But Vouch, what was it? Yes, Vouch did advocate for. He advocated for child pornography, and he advocated for lowering the age of consent.
He's weird looking. Sorry.
He's gross looking too. But that's just. I mean, yeah. I was watching Nico the other day, and Nico cracked me up. He's always gonna say some funny shit, but Nico was like, "And I don't trust nobody that got a man bun and the sides are not shaved on the sides," or something like that. Yeah, I mean, he had it right. He was one of the few people who was calling Vouch out for quite a while. Mad Marxist says, all I know about Vouch is an incel provided the kids ain't around. Yeah, stay away from that
He
dude.
could work for CNN. They let that shit slide for like a year.
Apparently so. Well, not only CNN, that guy worked for Fox before that. A lot of people don't know that, but yeah, that fucker worked for Fox
They
too.
go back and forth, these people.
That guy, part of the club.
That guy Chris Wallace left Fox to go to CNN. Like that's any better.
Well, but you know why he did that, right?
PR. I don't know.
No, he did that because now granted, because it doesn't matter to us because we don't follow a lot of the Beltway bullshit. But what he did was he saw how this whole January 6th shit is like making Fox look really bad. And he knew he had to dip out of that.
Well, he's been away from Fox in ideology for a while, so it didn't make it wasn't out of nowhere.
Well, the whole Mark Meadows thing and him.
I don't even understand that because I don't even know who the fuck that is. So people have to explain who the fuck that is, and then I'll care. Okay. Like I don't know who that is. He means nothing to me in my life. Like he's not.
It doesn't matter to me because I think the whole January 6th stuff is an op anyway.
Of course it was. We knew when it happened.
So what it is all of these people were texting, I guess, handlers for Trump. And they were texting Mark Meadows and telling him, yo, you got to get Trump to stop this shit. And apparently Sean Hannity, Laura Ingraham, and somebody else, Don Jr., they all had sent messages to Mark Meadows saying, yo, get him to stop this shit. And he apparently didn't, give a shit until after it, a lot of people flooded in. And so that's what the whole hubbub is. It's more or less kind of a neoliberal thing where they're the only ones that's really getting their panties in a bunch about it. But, like Kelly said, I'm so sick of hearing about January 6th. Yeah.
That's how I felt. It's just so boring. It's so stupid. And they want to make it as big as it is, like way bigger than it is. And an insurrection. Shut up. If it was an insurrection, it would have worked.
They need something. They need something for that, for that sweet donor money.
Oh, and then the big lie. When they say the big lie, it really makes me want to vomit. I can't. Because that's the lie? That's the only lie you care about? Okay. Cool. It's blue team, red team bullshit, and I don't care.
Kaladin, I do not know why people listen to Mouse. I don't know. I can't explain that. Oh, well, I don't really think his audience is mostly genuine, just like Nico said. I honestly feel like he has a freaking bot army. And I think that's the case with a lot of these people. They have bot armies. Sorry to give you a little secret of what goes on behind the scenes with some of this stuff, but I wouldn't doubt that for a lot of these different people that they have bots. What's another one who I think was it Rubin? Dave Rubin. He's another one. Bot Army, Steven Crowder. That's another one.
I was about to say Steven Crowder definitely has one.
Yes. Now, some of them just are like Kyle Kalinske that just have followers who are just residual followers where they're just still there. And because they like his style, they stick with his bullshit. And then I think there's some hate watching going on there too, which instead of spending my time hate watching you, I'll just not watch you.
Mm-hmm.
That makes more sense to me.
Why waste the time?
Yes, January 6th. Let me put that on the screen.
That's hilarious.
January
not that
6th was a rowdy field trip. Calm down, y'all. I mean, it was ridiculous. All January 6th was about was
It was a sit-in. It was just a bunch of people sitting in. Y'all
Tour
liked
guide.
it when it was for your thing.
what
We're
it
just taking
honestly
a tour of the Capitol.
what it honestly reminded me of is like
A guided tour.
when a college team like wins the championship and they go tear up their own college and take the goalposts and throw it into the lake and all kind of weird shit like that, and then go burn a couple of cars. Where their goal is not to hurt anybody, it's just to make a lot of fucking racket and just destroy some shit, which I don't understand why. Let's just say while white college kids like to destroy shit when they win, I can understand destroying shit if you lose, but I don't know. I don't get it. Maybe somebody else has an explanation for me out there.
I don't get sports in general. The fascination with it, with balls going into places.
Wow, really ill.
There's a historical aspect. There's a historical aspect behind that. It's
That is true, Kelly. Let me put that on the screen. That is true. The only thing we learned on January 6th was that the Capitol building has single pane windows, which that's something that shocked the shit out of me. I was like, I thought everything was bulletproof over there. Apparently not.
That's
what
part
happened?
of the idea that people have that it was kind of staged a little bit. Not going to get into that conspiracy theory, but there's theories out there that that's not exactly what was going on. Like that things were kind of facilitated to a certain point.
What got me was the footage of the insurrectionists wandering through the Capitol building inside the guide.
Yeah.
Right. Thank you. That's exactly what I was saying. I was like, it just felt like a tour group, like
it really was.
Cool tour
and they were
group.
all older. Some of the older people just having a good time, enjoying the
Well,
atmosphere.
they had to fulfill the Simpsons prophecy, of course. In the book of Simpsons, chapter 13, verse 12.
It was a boring riot, is all I gotta say. Like one of the worst, most boring riots ever.
And like, didn't somebody take a dump on somebody's desk? I'm trying to remember.
Oh no, I think they took a dump in the hallway. Like you could see it on the ground. Somebody took a dump, and then somebody hung out at Pelosi's desk and just like set
I'm
up shop there.
I'm like, was Tyrone Biggums a part of that protest or something? I mean, what's going on here?
That wasn't necessary. That was gratuitous, honestly. Nobody needed to see that.
I would have had more respect if they would have did it on Pelosi's desk.
That would have made more sense.
Or at least
that's why people think it was like somebody else involved, one of the feds that maybe.
Or at least just do it in their office. I mean, I honestly would have been happy if somebody would have like just really just soaked Mitch McConnell's like his favorite chair, because even though a guy like him could like have another one in there in 5 minutes, something like that would just have him pissed off all week.
Yeah, but I would be worried about the janitor having to clean it up and everything.
I mean, yeah, good point. It would be all over the place. Mm-hmm. Oh yeah, while we're talking about DC type crap, would you like to get us started on what did that say? Did some guy put his feet on Pelosi's desk and took a selfie? Yeah.
It was all on Twitter, and then her emails were there. You got her emails. They're very boring.
I see scientists
Okay, what did you
in the
want to talk
building.
about?
Oh,
What's
hold
up,
on one
science?
second. Hey, y'all. Remember when the
Hey.
DC police moved back the barricades, literally inviting the Patriots
Some of
to
them.
surround government buildings, and how the DNC/RNC bomber isn't a thing anymore.
Hmm.
I wish I had like sound effect music so I can play the little mystery music. But yeah,
I love how
figure
they tried to fade that out. That whole the police didn't help. They're heroes.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
figure we'll talk
We
a
like the
little bit
police now.
about debt relief, about the debt not being relieved, how
Yep.
Biden is going to go back in and just actually take it away. I'll let you announce it.
Wait, are you talking about the student debt relief?
Yes, sir.
Or just okay. I only wanted to bring it up now because supposedly it was supposed to start like end of January, February 2nd or something like that. But I got people saying like this month they're gonna start being charged like $500 a month, $700 a month. I got the Department of Education asking about auto debt, asking people to auto debit so that they can just automatically come in and pluck it from your bank account. So the
They've been
official
calling me.
stance is that right.
I
They call
get
my
like
friend
3
too.
calls a day. I get like at least 3 calls a day.
Right, and their official stance is that since the pandemic is moving in a direction that they want, they don't really actually care about how people feel about the debt. And someone else brought up, so they're comfortable screwing over 42 million people. Well, that'll go well. So.
Well, did you hear what AOC said, right?
No, I didn't hear what AOC said. What did she say?
AOC said, I got to get nice and dramatic and emotional to represent AOC properly. AOC was like,
Also, increase your volume to a high pitch.
I just feel so saddened that in February 2022, that so many people are going to have to pay for that the debt is coming back, and so many Americans are just struggling right now, and I just wish it was something that we could do, and I just don't know why the Biden administration would do this.
Okay, so Biden has executive authority to cancel most of it. His talking parrot Psaki said, "Oh well, we could just throw the ballot back into Congress's court. It's not a big deal. But if Congress covers it, it supposedly means that you have to charge the taxpayer, and even that, what they'll cover, like 10 grand, which is what essentially you and I both know that's essentially nothing, right? So it's
not even half of me.
It's
right.
It's almost
it's not even a fourth for me.
To me, being a skeptical person, this is weird because it's almost like Biden is like, I do not want you motherfuckers to vote for me at all. How can I make sure
that you
will not vote for me?
He's trying super hard. He's like, I just need them not to vote for me.
They said they were still trying to figure out if they were going to run in 2024. I read that on Twitter on one of their propaganda parts that you read in the trending or For You tab or whatever.
Supposedly they're trying to switch him out, switch with other people. And I'm just like,
they're still thinking it over.
How are they
want to do this again?
I don't understand how this switch is going to work. I really don't. I don't see it. It doesn't seem feasible. I don't see how that. Like I said earlier, the only person that they could possibly switch her out with would be fucking Stacey Abrams.
And even this, she
did attend Bilderberg, so
that's of course they got to have all their people who are like in the queue, for next. I guess in the line. I mean, next.
I mean, but that blanket Democrat hate, Abrams couldn't get past that. That blanket Democrat hate, that they're screaming for that sweet, sweet donor money. Like, please hate us so that the donors can give us more money.
Maybe it's time for a Republican again. They decide every once in a while whether they're going to have a Republican or a Democrat the next go round, and then they have them run and then pretend to get votes, and then they install them allegedly.
Maybe
According
I don't know.
It's
maybe-
fantastic.
Crazy Trump supporters.
I look at it like this, and this is just me throwing out my what would we call it? We'll call it conspiracy theory thoughts. You know, you don't have to. Oh gosh, that sounds horrible. I just read. Is everyone ready to choose the lesser of two evils between Ivanka / Chelsea 2028? Ooh.
The fun fact about them is that they're both connected to Ghislaine Maxwell. Yay! Can't lose.
Well, speaking of that, you guys did hear that Hillary's trying to pop her head back up again.
Oh, did you see her crying?
Whack-a-mole. I saw that. Oh God.
Cry fucking more.
Like, go sit down, Hillary. Go sit. You're correct.
I wasn't really amazed at this point because it's almost like watching it's almost like being able to tell about an earthquake or a tsunami or like a hurricane. You can almost see the signs coming now. Like, okay.
Here's what I'm gonna tell everybody. Be surprised. I want her to run.
Me too. I want her to run so bad.
All right, Street. We'll catch you later. We'll catch you later, my friend. Until the next time.
All right. See you, Street.
I want her to run again.
I do too.
Because
the fourth time's the charm, or whatever the hell it is.
It's not even that.
I think it's third.
I do not
I don't care.
if she wins, loses. I just want her to run because I just know it's going to make for some entertaining TV. That's all I'm saying. It's going to be entertaining, no matter how you slice it. Oh yes,
I just love it because it's like it's like reaching back into the past and looking at like 12 years and looking at 12 years ago, and it's Obama all over again. I'm like, how come none of y'all are? Am I going crazy? Or like none of y'all seeing the exact same thing I'm seeing? I'm like, he literally did the same thing with the evictions and the student debt and like the we can all get along with Republicans and did it. It's the same thing.
Excusing torture.
Excusing torture.
Hillary versus Trump. Let's get it on. Or else, say Michael Buffer's, famous line. Let's get ready to rumble. I want it because I honestly look at it like this. They need ratings. Corporate news is dying. They need ratings. So what's going to get them the ratings back? Talking about Hillary or talking about Trump? You got to have.
They already talked about Trump, even though he's not even around.
Yeah, but
they need somebody else.
But if they don't have Trump there, because you got to remember, since they already kind of screwed themselves by cutting him out of social media, they don't have a Trump comment every 5 minutes to bring up in the media to hyperventilate about. So since you're not going to bring him back onto the platform, you got to bring him back onto the stage so then you can criticize him. Also, you got to remember, how much money do they raise from resistance liberals who are trying to throw money to defeat Trump?
Like that Midas touch bullshit. Midas, whatever the hell it's called.
Midas.
Those dumbasses.
The Rock for a third. The Rock, if anything.
No.
The Rock would run as a Democrat.
He is so Democrat.
I see that.
If Hillary doesn't run, and all these other atrocious candidates don't run, it will be The Rock in there or somebody like that, or Matthew McConaughey, or watch.
Matthew's not even going to do anything anymore, so he's out now. He won't even do the governing thing.
If The Rock ran third party, which I can't see him doing it, it would be some kind of thing where he waited till the very, very last minute and he didn't have enough signatures here, or he didn't have whatever it would be. It would be some kind of problem where it's virtually impossible for him to win. That's what they would do. And it would make sure, because they don't want to have another Trump. Trump only ran for president in the very first place because he thought that he could actually, use it as a negotiation tactic. And then when they realized,
remember,
oh shit, it's actually worked. Fuck. What do we do now? And I think he just got in office and he was like, you know what? I thought I was gonna hate this shit. But you know what? I kind of like doing this.
Remember back in the day that Bill Clinton had a conversation with him over the phone and convinced him to run, allegedly. So, or he had a conversation
The Pied
that we don't
Piper
get the
strategy.
details of, but we can figure it out for ourselves.
Well,
and then she had him as the Pied Piper in the DNC.
Right. But we don't talk about
information.
that, apparently. Apparently that didn't happen.
None of this happened. And Ghislaine Maxwell was not at Chelsea's wedding. That never happened. There's no pictures of it.
Here, I will give this to the panel and ask and see, what do you all think? Kaladine Cat Blessed says, at Political Matrix, so you guys believe third parties are dead, full stop?
No, okay. Is it
locally?
Let me see if I can get the
Jack says, yep.
Let me see if I can get it. Is it skinwalkers, or what is that? What is that type? What is that being where they put on the skin of like a dead person and they walk around acting like the dead person with the dead person's skin on? So that's what I see like the other two parties doing with third party. Like the third party would just be what is that being where they take the skin, where they like hollow out, like where they'll hollow out the third party, and then one of them will just take over that third party, and then they'll wear the third party's skin, but basically they'll be doing the same thing that the other two parties were doing, but it's in a new
like
skin.
The Green Party.
Right.
I wasn't going to talk about
right.
I wasn't going to talk about Howie Hawkins, but
not them.
Saying it
just
without
the party
it.
Itself totally screwed the pooch and supports the vaccine mandates now.
Dude, he's even more to the right. I mean, we're already massively disappointed with Bernie and all that, and see him for who he was. But this guy is to the right of Bernie at this point. How are the Greens?
But even the party itself has come out for the mandates.
Well, not the whole party. The Black Caucus came out against it.
The Green Party.
The Green Party Black Caucus came out against it.
Hold on, I'll get it.
Yeah, I mean, I watched.
They had an official newsletter about it.
Shout out to Convo Couch. I watched their interview with the chairman of the Black Caucus of the Green Party, and he was against it.
This is it right here. I have the statement that they made about the mandates.
Yeah. I know about the statement. Oh, you talking about the Black Caucus statement?
No, the Green Party. The Green Party of the United States Steering Committee. That's who I was referring to.
That's what I'm saying. It's the steering committee. It's not the whole national party. It's the steering committee.
I didn't mean the national party. I meant the steering committee.
Yeah, it's the steering committee. And so, oh shoot, we got a friend in the house. Hey there, Stevie. How we doing tonight? Says Howie, 22-time loser. Come and control it. Yeah. How did he?
I didn't know 22.
Howdy.
Mm-hmm.
Howdy.
Yeah. How did Howie? That's kind of funny to us. How did
Howie?
Howdy.
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 That is.
Howdy.
I cannot say that 3 times.
Howdy.
Howdy.
How did Howie, a
Howie,
22-time loser, come to control the Green Party? What I would say, L, and I'll pass it back to you. Back to that question that was asked. Third parties. What do you say, L?
Maybe
third parties
locally.
You said maybe locally.
Maybe locally they could have some power, but eventually they will get snuffed out because progressives immediately turn totalitarian when it's the right issue, like the vaccine mandates. With people here, there was a progressive whom I voted for. I'm not even going to mention her name, but I voted for her, and she is a part of the LA City Council, and she was supposed to take care of homelessness. Never happened, of course. And that was her initiative and everything. And then she started to support the vaccine mandates and was like supporting Nuni Martinez's fucking bill that eventually got passed because of her and their cronies and everything in the city council. And they were able to mandate vaccines for all these businesses, like nail salons, hair salons, and that sort of thing, malls and all that stupid shit. So it's fucking sad to see, like, when you vote for someone, they go and fucking, betray you immediately when they get the chance. But it's for a good reason for them. But you still get betrayed. So that's why I don't even bother voting anymore. So I'm of the mind that not voting is better than voting at this point, because you don't get fucked on purpose. You get fucked later, but you're not as salty about it because you didn't have a hand in it. Wait, that's not the word I want to use. You didn't get yourself fucked. Somebody fucked you without your permission. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm. And there we go. Stevie has my exact tone and tenor. Yeah, no third-party candidate will ever be allowed to win a position that can make a systemic change. Exactly.
Correct.
My
never happened.
And the reason why I believe that is, look at what happened the last election cycle in New York. What did they do? Start changing the rules, and that's what they will do. The DNC, who will be in control of a lot, depending on the state. If it's a Democratic state, more than likely they're going to go in to stop it. It doesn't seem like the red states really do much to stop it, but the red states normally have gerrymandering so strongly that it would be hard to win in the districts that you would have to win in. The Democrats seem to just come up with, okay, maybe you need more signatures. You don't have enough signatures. Well, maybe you should have put it in by this date. Well, you didn't put it in this date, so you're screwed. Okay, well, maybe you have to raise this amount. Maybe you have to do X. Like, remember how they kept changing the rules on Mike Gravel so he could never get on the debate stage? And they start doing that to more and more of the candidates during the primaries.
And then they lower the debates. They have less debates, like 3 or 4.
Mm-hmm.
Instead of what they usually have.
Mm-hmm.
Remember when Trump was trying to debate Joe Biden, and then Biden kept chickening out and everything, and they never did the debate with him that was supposed to happen? And that's the regular candidates. And they don't even have to do it.
Yeah, and with that though, like, as far as the national and as far as like what Stevie said, I don't see letting them get into any positions to make any systemic change. Do I believe that some of the squad members initially went in there thinking that they could change things?
Right. I think they initially went in there.
They're naive, yes.
I believe they're that naive that they thought they could.
Right. I believe they were naive enough to believe they could have changed it.
They got overruled.
But they got overruled, and they found out. Do you want to stay here and get crumbs? And this is how I'm imagining that the shakedown went. It could have went differently, but this is, in my opinion, how I envision it in my head. Okay, do you guys want to stay here or not? Do you want to get some things done for your constituents, or do you want to get zero done and get booted the fuck out of here? You can keep trying to, protest outside of my office and do all these things like that. And if you do, by hook or by crook, you will be gone. I don't care if we have to put you on a committee where you never get anything done. I don't care if all of a sudden we found out that you did something, whether it's you didn't pay some taxes and we get it blasted throughout all the major media channels. If it's you didn't pay your child support, if it's whatever situation is. Remember how Ilhan Omar,
You
all
married
that
your brother.
that stuff start coming out about, her husband.
Yes.
All of a sudden, all this shit starts coming out, and then
That
she
doesn't come
starts
out of
getting a
nowhere.
little bit quieter, and she stops saying some of the shit that
Yep.
she's saying. Then you
Right,
notice the
just
same
stop
thing.
talking.
Exactly.
Don't fuck with Israel.
You notice that if they start saying certain things or starting to push in certain areas, then pushback comes to them, and they all shut the fuck up. That's what happens, and they realize, okay, either I can sit here, try to get maybe a couple of small meagers of things, done, and then all I can do is make money while I'm here. Either you do that and get a little bit, or you get booted out and get nothing and possibly get your name, your credibility, everything destroyed. And I wouldn't be surprised if they can't get you that way, then they'll take it to the next level. Just like I believe what they did with Al Franken. They were like, you know what? We got to have a sacrificial lamb. Who's going to be the sacrificial lamb? Al, your turn? Okay. Photos are coming out about you touching a woman supposedly inappropriate. And if that doesn't work, we're going to get a couple more women to come out and say you did the same thing. That way, you're convicted in the court of public opinion. We're not going to actually try you on anything seriously and take it to that route. But basically, court of public opinion, you'll be pushed out, and then you can go and retire. We maybe send you a couple of bags over here on the side, to let you deal with all the shit that's going on. Maybe we'll clean you up a little bit better and say, oh, well, obviously this was a Republican psyop and all that. And then we can probably get you to run again. And, that's how they do some of these things. I mean, it's manipulation.
They just become ineffective eventually.
Yeah.
Essentially.
As far as local politics, I'm not going to say that you don't have a chance. It all depends on the state and what you mean by local. If you're out here in California, fuck no.
No fucking way.
If you're in New York City, if you're in Pennsylvania, there's just some states, Chicago or Illinois as a whole. No, you don't have a chance. You could
Party didn't do shit with that.
You could be in Nebraska or some shit like that, and and maybe get something done there in Iowa and do something for your local community or state. But no, as far as the national party, that shit is long sailed. I'm not even sure if it was ever there, let alone that it sailed. I'm not sure that was ever a serious possibility. I mean, especially you go back to Bernie Sanders and look at his initial beginnings, and for some of us who might not have noticed it before, he basically signed up to be a sheep herder.
Yep.
So that's what it is.
I see his little song and dance that he's pulling right now. To get the Democrats out of the hole because they've just dug it. They just dug it too deep, and he's trying to dig a trench, and it's not working because they're just.
And then he's supporting Big Pharma now too.
Right, they just got wise to it. Too many people just got wise to it. That's all it was. They figured it all out. Nothing you can really do.
And that's their goal. The whole point of having these third parties on the national level, especially. And this is my opinion. You guys don't have to accept my opinion or not. I believe it is to have a vent valve. If you have a whole shitload of people who don't want the Democrats, who don't want the Republicans, what can you do? Mm-hmm. Well, you give them options so they can at least say, you know what, I'm voting this vote to say fuck you. Or sorry, I guess you can't see that. But to say, fuck you to the parties, and they're like, okay, cool, whatever. Throw throw that vote out into the ether. It's not going to hurt me as a Democrat. It's not going to hurt me as a Republican. And so both of the parties are cool with that. So they say, yeah,
And they can
go
blame
ahead.
it on them if they lose.
Yeah. And
Right.
exactly, if they lose, they're like, oh,
Protest
see,
vote.
that
Yeah,
2% which went to the Green Party, and that 1% which I'll use Mountain Party because Stevie put it out there, and another 0.5% that went to DSA. All of that is why I lost. Wah, wah, wah. That's the game that they're playing.
Yeah, and they can both play that game. It's perfect. Or use that card.
Says he who controls the algorithm, specifically election voting machines, owns everything. Am I wrong? No, you're not wrong. I mean,
Yeah.
and also who controls corporate media, that makes a big impact also, because
control the narrative, you control everything.
Yep.
Exactly.
And you can cause a lot of chaos, as we've seen.
Yeah. Control the narrative, you control everything.
It's insane.
Yeah.
I honestly think, yeah, like you said here, Stevie, maybe they've been losing for so long. Losing is their comfort zone now. I
because that's where the money is. The donor, right?
It's a grift for some of these people at this point.
Underdog.
Right. It is a grift. They'll say, well, see, we're fighting for you. We might not win, but our goal is to just build the numbers. And as we build the numbers, eventually
it's David versus Goliath.
we're going to be strong enough to actually take them on. It's the same thing how the Republicans would always talk about, and we're going to get rid of abortion. They never were trying. They were never trying to do it. There's times when they had there were times where they had the courts on their side. They had the presidency.
They definitely don't want it either because they have too many.
The moment that they do
liaisons.
that, for one, there's two things that are going to happen. The moment they do that, a lot of their voting base is going to be like, okay, we won it, we're done. They're not going to worry about voting Republican again.
Neither party's going to do that.
The other thing is they don't get the donations anymore.
They need those.
Exactly. That's the question. Where did the donations come from? What gets me the most money?
Yep.
Right. That's the question you have to ask. And honestly, there's no money in giving people what? Living wages, in solving student and
what they need,
forgiving student debt. There's no money there. There's no money there. There's no money in that. But keeping all that going. I meant to ask you, how did you get the interview with the student loan debt guy, by the way, out of curiosity?
Oh, believe it or not, Lucy actually reached out to me and was like, I'm putting this together. And shout out to Lucy over there with Blue Moon Red Wine. I mean, she's doing great work over there. So go ahead and check her out. I mean, I don't necessarily, and what I mean while she's doing a lot of great work is she's talking about a lot of issues that are going on in the Caribbean and then South America and stuff like that. And so I pay attention to those issues a lot, especially from her and Franco. And then I don't know, one of these days I might cover more of that stuff too, depending. But it's just been so much and it's hard to keep up with everything. But yeah, she reached out to me. And was like, would you like to be on for this part or that part? And I told her, I was like, yeah, put me on, put me on with Alan. I think that I can have a couple of good questions for him, questions that, I'm not sure everybody else would necessarily think about and put on. For those who haven't seen it, go and check that out. I am in
put that in the chat, the link or whatever.
Second half. If I could figure out how to do this stuff, I'm still trying to learn how to get this computer stuff straight. Let's see if I can do it. Hold on 1 second, party people. And I'll answer Stevie's questions real quick. What happened to all the PR and media the Greens were getting with Jill Stein back in 2016? What did the party do with all that? You answered your own question earlier. Howie Hawkins. That's where it went. That's where it went. When you bring in somebody like Howie Hawkins, he kills all of that momentum instantly because Howie is kind of Howie's boring as fuck. That's part of it. Howie's boring. Hold on a second. And also he just mismanages the party as a whole. So people have no reason to cover him. He's boring as hell. Hold on, I am trying to get that really quickly. I'm still learning how to do this stuff here. And there it is. Save, share. How do I do that? Ooh. Add to queue save. I don't know. I'd have to have Chris teach me how to do all this stuff. I am such a novice at this. I just got my computer today, so
There
trying to
was no
figure it out. What was that?
What was it, El? What did you say?
To Jack, there was no choice.
What
I
was the
chose
question?
Giant Meteor, but that was just me.
Yeah, I chose Giant Meteor.
I
And
literally
Vinyl,
wrote in Giant Meteor.
I have faith
I did
in
like
people,
Dario as well.
not
I'll
the
give
system or politicians.
Dario was
It's a
cool.
newer comment.
Oh, well, let me skip down and try to catch up. Oh wow, I'm way behind. Sorry.
They're blowing us up.
It's like
in the
100.
chat. I love
It's
it.
like 100 plus deep now. I remember when it used to be like remember when it only used to be like what 50, 60 and like a 2-3 hour stretch. Now they're like 100,
Amazing.
200 deep, something like that.
I never thought I'd ever be a part of a network like this before.
I did. I like Daria also. Well,
I did
Watch the
too.
show.
I'm glad you are part of this network. Yes, I'm glad you are. I honestly felt like we always had the potential. It's just a matter of if people took a chance to come check us out and realize that we give our honest opinions. We try to be as nuanced as possible. We try to, study up on the topics that we talk about, and we're the little engine that could. That's how I see us. So, we just keep chugging along, and people will come in and check us out when they can, and hopefully they like what we're doing over here.
Well, they can't dislike it. Now can they?
Oh yeah, total shout out for his movie, by the way. I can't wait for his movie. Sally May Not. I like that.
Oh, where'd that go? I just saw. Oh. Yeah, I am still trying to work this, so bear with me, people.
Nah, you're good.
Kaladin said, yeah, you guys
Yeah.
respond to the comments. It's appreciated.
Well, maybe that could be it.
Oh yeah, because they have solid takes, and then Marcus always puts up the ones that really just kind of stick out to what we're doing or what we're talking about. So
it's a conversation.
He's
well, and that's what we like to have most of all. We don't want to be one of those shows where we get so caught up in our own opinions and what we think, and not listen to what you guys are saying out there, because we learn from you all just as much as you might be learning from us in certain ways. So
we're a community.
Yes, we are a community. I'm one of those type of people where I love to be sitting down with a whole group of people and just chit-chatting. And so I try to recreate that environment as much as possible here on the show and have that same kind of conversation. When I figured this out, Uma, I will be making sure to stay on your comments and translate them into the chat for everybody. But I'm a little bit slow on figuring this stuff out. My girl will tell all you guys I am not as tech savvy as a lot of you are. I am not. And if you guys see some of my earlier videos, you can tell I'm not.
You were trying to put together your computer beforehand, right? Because we heard her helping. We heard her helping you.
Oh Lord. Yeah, I was. Yeah, good thing
we heard her
we
helping
weren't live.
you.
And I was
No, we weren't live, but we heard her.
Thank goodness we weren't live. You guys would hear how bad I am at figuring this shit. I was like, "Where's my cord at? Where's that at? I don't know where this is.
How do you
does
plug
that
it
plug in
in?
there?" I was like, "Do I have
How do you
headphones?"
change the volume?
Yeah. She had to.
See, I always find it interesting because I've sat in conversations where I can see them talking and they're having their conversation, but the commentators are having like a completely different conversation, and it just you get distracted.
They ignore the people who give them that fame. You
it
know,
doesn't work. Right.
Definitely.
That's how I know if I like
that'll
somebody
never
or
happen
not.
to
They
us.
respond to the comments.
Yeah, I had somebody the other day, and they were like, "Hey, I'm famous now." He read out my comment, and I'm like,
Aw.
"If me reading out your comment makes you feel famous,
Okay.
then I'll take it. I'm just an average
That's so
Joe,
sweet.
just like the rest of you guys. I nothing special over here. I mean, yeah. So I appreciate it. I try to, I learn a lot from everybody. So, and Red Economics, Stevie over there. Make sure you tell Jimmy I said, hey, what's up? Mahalo, a lot of love to him over there.
Repurposing.
And what does that say? The political message.
I like her question. Callan's.
Let's pull it up.
Now, I would like to know your take on this since you served, Marcus.
Okay, repurposing the Army as a nationwide disaster preparedness / infrastructure rebuilding force as part of the New Deal type program. I think that would be an excellent idea. But that's right. You were supposed to talk about that, Elle.
Oh, I'm going to.
All right. Well, you know what? Why don't you hop right in and jump on this? That way we can, get through it. We don't want to drag it too long. Because Chris brought up a good point to me. He was like, well, for those who hadn't watched any of the stream, if it gets too long, sometimes they'll just look at 3 hours or 3 hours plus and like, yeah, never mind that. So I guess you can go ahead and take this L and lead in with the NDAA. And then I'll respond afterwards.
There's a summary of it, of what it used to be before it ballooned up to nearly 770 billion. I mean, not billion, $1 million. Wait, no, it is billion. What the fuck? 700 bit. See, it sounds so ridiculous. $770 billion. It was supposed to be 700. How much was it supposed to be? For the fiscal year 2022, which is coming up, the budget was supposed to be $715 billion. And then the consideration was $25 billion on top of that. But somehow it ballooned up to 770 billion after that. But in this thing that I'm reading from the Senate.gov website here, which is telling what it's about, what's in it, the notable bill provisions involved are nuclear weapons modernization and missile defense, of course. So prohibits the reduction of deployed U.S. intercontinental ballistic missiles responsiveness, alert level, or quantity to fewer than 400. And then authorizes the Missile Defense Agency to develop a highly reliable missile defense interceptor for the ground-based mid-course defense system. And authorizes the purchases of Iron Dome, or Iron Dome as other people say, but Iron Dome, Arrow, and David Sling to support Israel, because we have to keep supporting Israel.
I mean, Israel.
They're our friends.
Go on. Yeah.
Anyway.
They're
your friends.
And then they got Pacific Deterrence Initiative, China, because China's on the menu, extends Pacific Deterrence Initiative authorization while providing for key modifications to match the security challenges the U.S. and allies face in the region, and funds more than $700 million in unfunded requirements in the region. and then establishes ongoing briefings on China's behavior in the region. What about your behavior? Establishes reporting on the potential increases to U.S.-Taiwan defense cooperation and reiterates U.S. defense commitments to Taiwan. So you're already getting a look at what this is funding, is more war, basically, more war capability in the future. And then we can't forget Europe and Russia prohibits the use of funds for any activity that recognizes the sovereignty of the Russian Federation over Crimea. Renews authorities allowing DoD to provide security assistance and intelligence support to military and other security forces of the government of Ukraine. Renews authority for DoD to provide training for countries in Eastern Europe. It includes a sense of the Senate reaffirming the U.S. commitment to the North Atlantic Treaty Organization, or NATO, and includes a sense of the Senate that the United States should continue to prioritize support for the Baltic states of Estonia, Latvia, and Lithuania. And of course, we got to get into cyber, because that's next. Authorizes full funding of Cyber Command, because we're going to have cyber threats in the future, as they've detailed in their plans. Requires DoD to assess how the department can protect the United States from ransomware. Requires DoD to assess the cyber threat landscape, our adversaries' capabilities, and the plans the U.S. military has to conduct cyber operations during conflicts. And then authorizes the development of a voluntary public-private partnership to better defend and detect cyber threats. And then the next one is combating sexual assault in the military, which they'll get a lot of plus for, a lot of bonus, like kudos from the press for, and they already have. They're going to really tackle that problem in the military. And then they have research and development, procurement, research and development in there as well. And that's basically like the shit that's going on in this bill that turned into a law when it passed the Senate. It passed the House and then it passed the Senate recently. And so now I guess it can be signed by the dude in charge, who's not really in charge. But that
There's
was
always
me
room for war.
sparing you a lot of, time and effort, and giving you the rundown of what the fuck is going on there. And there's other
always room
vaccine
for
stuff
war.
in there too, because they're
That
doing the vaccine
part-
mandates for the military.
That part right there, Kelly. I'm so tired of paying for Israel's war crimes
I
and
wish
their
we couldn't.
education and healthcare. Will we ever have a president that says no to them? Fuck no.
No,
Never.
they're not allowed. They will kill.
They wouldn't become president if they ever said no. If they even had an inkling that they would say no, they would never become president.
Say no, they would.
So that should tell you something about what it takes to become president of the United States. I'll just let you all think about that.
Oh, I'll put this in the chat for you guys. Or, yeah, I don't know if you can do it. But maybe I'll put it in there. Maybe it'll go through, hopefully.
I will try.
I'll try.
I guess put it in the private chat. Let me try.
Yeah.
Try to do some shit.
That shouldn't be too difficult.
I don't know. I'm not the most tech savvy, but we gonna try it. Oh shit. Didn't mean to do that. I'll click on it.
Let me know if you see it in the chat, guys, because I did put it there. So it probably isn't there, but it will be in the chat.
I think, yes, I see it in the chat.
So just copy and paste, guys, if you want. But you can look over that, and it shows like the amounts that are going to this and that and the other. Space Force gets some money. Lovely. Love that.
Why do they keep doing that? I don't get that one.
They got $1.3 billion for 5 national security space launch systems, $601 million for global positioning system 3 follow-on, $3.3 billion for Space Force system development and demonstration, and $1.6 billion in advanced component and development prototype R&D funding for technologies including space situational awareness, domain control, advanced communications, and related technologies and systems. Yeah, that would
Remember
be
that
nice.
predictive programming? Remember that predictive programming show that wanted you to be okay with like Space Force, and they made it all like funny and sad and pathetic all at the same time. I think it was Steve Carell or something like that. Yeah.
With Steve
They
Carell,
tried
I don't know. Maybe I'm thinking of the wrong one.
I don't remember the name, but I remember that, and I was just like, they just want to make us okay with it. And I was just like,
Or you could go to, what was that, Galaxy Quest? No, that was about a TV show about them doing. That was a TV show. No, that was a movie about mocking an old TV show, which would have been like Star Trek, basically.
Yeah.
Right. They were making fun of. Star Trek and people who.
The Trekkies.
And people who went to fan club, right? The Trekkies, and then went to fan clubs and stuff like that. Funny story about that: the actual Trek people actually saw the movie and loved it. They loved everything about it. Actually,
they thought it was an homage.
They all loved
it is an homage in a way, but
it is an homage.
It's also taking the piss.
Right. And just they loved it. So respect.
Kelly.
Yeah, I remember all the predictive programming.
Oh, Kelly said, "Yes, I can see it in the chat, but don't want to be a masochist and look at it. I don't blame you.
It's depressing."
Oh, were you?
Well, you know what? Should I go into my? Never mind. I won't go into my prophecies and stuff. I'll leave it alone.
Let me go into the Ghislaine Maxwell trial if anyone wants to hear about that real quick. It's wrapping up on Monday, and I'll be quick, obviously. So we had the testimony from Ava Anderson Dubin, who's in the picture that I have in my avatar with Ghislaine, and she is her old friend, and she testified that what was interesting is what she testified is that at the end of it, Maureen Comey comes in and says, "Hey, do you have any memory problems or whatever?" And she's like, "I don't even remember what happened last month. I have a real problem." It's like all of this stuff that she was saying about not engaging in these orgies and stuff with the Epstein and Ghislaine and the girls, like,
oh my God,
kind of put into question then, because now you're saying like, "Oh, I didn't see anything," but your credibility is kind of shit now because you just said that you don't remember shit. So that was a really stupid thing for her to do. But she's not the sharpest knife in the drawer, I don't think. But she is reported to have also put her child, her 19-year-old daughter, up to be married to her ex-boyfriend, who was Jeffrey Epstein. So, by the way, she is his ex-girlfriend. And they wrote on Lolita Express together, but she never saw anything. She thinks, maybe. So that was what happened yesterday. Today was the charging conference. Yesterday also was when Ghislaine Maxwell came out and said that the prosecution didn't prove beyond a reasonable doubt that she was guilty, so she doesn't need to testify. So she's not going to testify, and they're going to close everything on Monday and Tuesday.
Elle, how can I ask you a question? How are you so continuously fascinated by something that she's obviously going to? Oh,
well, I mean, I'm catching all of the.
Some people like soap operas.
I'm just catching the bits of it that I can, so that I can deduce.
My grandmother did. She was a fan.
Left out.
Okay.
It's me taking that and going into Amir Desal, who was on the board of Terramar Project, which was the oceans charity that Ghislaine had. And he is from the UN. He works with the UN. And he's the one who got her to do the speech at the UN for oceans and her stuff that she's doing with her charity. And that's how that came about. So I like to point out the connections between her and all these people and the princesses and the kings and the duchesses and all that shit that she hangs out with from time to time. Even in like fucking 2015 and shit, she was still just hanging around. All these famous people, 2014, like nothing had happened with Jeffrey Epstein, who was her ex-boyfriend that everybody knew. But everybody's like, oh no, it's just Ghislaine. Ghislaine's at this party. Let's hang out with Ghislaine. All right, whatever. Like Karen Zucker, who is married to David. No, what is his name? I forgot his fucking name. Jeff Zucker. Jeff Zucker, who runs CNN. So his wife hung out with Ghislaine Maxwell back in the day at 2 different parties. You can find pictures of them. And she was also hanging out with Barbara Walters, which is not surprising because Barbara Walters is the one who on The View, when Corey Feldman was on and he was talking about the horrible sexual abuse stuff that was happening in Hollywood, she was like, why do you got to do this to these people? Like, what about, why you got to do this to Hollywood? Hollywood didn't
I
do
remember
it.
that.
Remember? Yeah.
And they
So
called
like
him
she was hanging out
yeah,
with Ghislaine
and they
Maxwell
called him a
around that
lunatic
time.
and they called him crazy. I remember.
Makes sense. Makes sense now when you look at all the pictures and stuff and all the connections. And then Sarah Kellen was mentioned several times throughout this trial and was never put on, as a witness or anything. Was just kept being mentioned as if she was like the actual suspect. It was so weird. Anyway, I think we lost Marcus. But
No, I just had to answer
there
a
he is.
message real quick. Just answer a message real quick. Yeah, I just tune out on some of that stuff. That I'm like, yeah, it's elite shit that we have no power to change, and they're gonna do what they're gonna do, and they're gonna sweep it under the rug too. I'll get back to Khalidin's question. Says, can I put it on the screen real quick?
What was your question?
Repurposing the Army as a nationwide disaster preparedness infrastructure rebuilding force as part of the New Deal type program. I would like it if they would do something like that, but our government does not believe in using their power for good, only evil. Even if it looks like they're doing good, no, there's some evil shit going on too. That's how I see it. I mean, I think that there should be no reason why the military shouldn't be like yanked out of war zones and being thrust into places like Kentucky or Florida or Texas whenever we have these natural disasters. So that's what I would do, but our government is worried about holding status and control and things like that. That's the reason why some of the stuff that was repurposed, that was put into the bill, I see it a little bit different. I see it as they know a problem is coming, so they're trying to stock up and push back against said problems, which some of them which they've created on their own. So they need a lot of money to deal with fighting those problems that they have created for themselves. That's how I would put it.
I sent you something in the private chat to link to in the chat.
Okay, let's see if I can figure this out.
I also think it's a solidly good idea. It's just
it will never happen.
It's one of those. It's really cool. It'll never happen, but it's really cool. It's a really cool idea that I guess in a better world I could see happening. But
they fuck up so much stuff. Like, why would we expect them to get that right? And they fuck it up on purpose, is what I mean.
Mm-hmm.
Let me get caught back up.
Oh, what he just shared in the chat is the UN speech that Terramar did, or Ghislaine Maxwell did a few years back. It's on YouTube. So I shared that link from 2014. Just if you guys wanted to watch it later, if you're feeling masochistic. as Kelly said.
Well, the thing about, I'm gonna go to this comment. A third-party candidate running with this platform also emphasizing climate change and substantial jobs as part of the repurposed army. That like it always goes back to the fact of it doesn't matter how good your platform is going to be.
Mm-hmm.
There is somebody who sits above all electoral politics and groups of people, and they decide who's going to be in charge. They're not leaving shit to chance. There's not
No.
like going to be some person who's going to break out and everybody just all of us say, yeah, this is the guy or girl that we want, and we're going to put them in and we're going to change everything. That's not how this is working. There are groups of people which have went through generations passing down their plans and goals and designs generation after generation after generation. The same people who put, let's say, that put Biden into office are literally the same people who had their hands into Iran-Contra,
You
are
tired?
the same people who go back to JFK, JFK's assassination, and Bobby's assassination. These are the same people who go back to, Woodrow Wilson being, why he went into World War One. These people go back all the way to funding the North and South as far as the Civil War. These people go back before that to shorting the markets during World War One and taking over Britain's debt. These people go back to, Napoleon Bonaparte. These people and this is what I was trying to explain to Kamali, which he just couldn't get when I was saying this. It's not about just getting rid of capitalism and this will happen and that'll happen. Along with capitalism, there's somebody at the top who's keeping capitalism run a certain way. There's people who are making certain things a commodity and other things not a commodity. There's a reason why our future, which should be extremely important and valued, why teachers don't make very much, but somebody who sits behind a computer screen and trades stocks makes a whole lot of money. There's a reason why these things happen. There's a reason why people who work with their hands, who build buildings, will make decent money, but they don't make the same as an anesthesiologist who walks in and gasses somebody for a couple of minutes and then walks back out and then makes, $57,000 for about 10 minutes worth of work. It's a reason why these things run this way. And as long as these people at the top are going to keep running things this way, this is the society and reality that we're living in. There was that one politician who, I can't remember his name right now, where, what was it, Gary Hart, I believe, where Gary Hart, he looked like he was going to be a strong candidate to win. What happened? They pretty much set him up. He was a family man. They set it up to look like he had some young woman on his lap and, was doing something inappropriate. That tanked his political ambitions. And then what did you hear maybe 2 years ago? A whole shitload of people finally come out and, yeah, we're the ones who set you up. We're the ones who made sure the camera crew would be right there to catch it. We're the ones who negotiated so that it was going to be on the nightly news and it was going to get all the circulation. And before you could do anything to defend yourselves, we had already had our whole plan to screw you over. This is how these people operate. And the more they operate, the better they get at it. And the better they are predicting how it's going to go when they do it and what kind of wiggle room. So if you run the same scam on somebody over or on people over and over, what happens is you get better and better at the scam. And if you've been running scams like this for thousands of years, and of course, we're not talking about people who are fucking Highlanders. They passed down this knowledge to their son who's going to run the next part of the business or organization, and then the next one, and then the next one, and this information all gets cataloged and stored and evidence. This all ties into people like Jeffrey Epstein. It's just not like it's just some kind of random guy out here who is just hanging out with elites and getting young women or underage women and boys occasionally. This isn't just like somebody's randomly doing this shit for shits and giggles. This is a well-oiled machine, and there are far too many people which are looking at it and okay, they're peeping through this corner and they see this part, but they can't see all this, and they see this, but they can't see all that. You have to tear the whole stencil down and start seeing this is connected to that, that's connected to this. If you notice these corporations are corrupt, how are they corrupt? How are they able to get away with these things? Why are Congress people getting in? Why are all these Congress people related? Why do you have people like Nancy Pelosi and Chuck Schumer and Dianne Feinstein and Mitch McConnell who stay in Congress forever?
Yeah.
Why?
And Joe for a while.
And it's a reason why.
Yeah, Joe,
because these people have been put into place to do specific things for specific people.
Yep.
That's why it's not. None of this is going to be some. Even an AOC, they make it look good. Oh, she's this waitress from the Bronx, and oh, her father had this condition, but they don't tell you her father's an architect, and that she went to a prestigious college, and she was intern for Ted Kennedy. They don't tell you all that stuff. They don't just randomly get these people in. They groom them. That's the reason why AOC got in and Paul and Jean Swearinger did not get in. They got to vet you and see that you're going to do and say what say.
They tell you to do.
You're going to play ball. There's none of these people are there by flukes or by accidents. Somebody has come to them and has set them aside and said, hey, we're thinking about you running. So you got to make sure to cover up this. You got to make sure to not do that. If you get in, this is what's going to happen. And another thing is, every single one of these people, they have dirt on them in some kind of way, some shape or form. They have something on everybody. So the moment that you get out of line, this is going to start coming out, like what we were seeing with Ilhan Omar. It started coming out, and then all of a sudden it disappears because she played ball. The moment she didn't play ball, it would have been on every mainstream channel, and she would have had to resign from office. This is how these people operate. I mean, you go back to Woodrow Wilson. Woodrow Wilson, his campaign promise was, we are not going into war. I promise you your sons are not going to war. That's what the man said. And you know what happened? We went to war. You know
Obama said that too.
Because, and a lot of people don't realize, if you consider yourself this family man and you think you're doing all your dirt and nobody knows it, and then, oh, we actually do know about your mistress across town and your kid that you're hiding from everybody. Now they have you. Every single one of these politicians has some kind of dirt on them. I remember somebody telling me that, oh no, we just think that Bernie is worried about, being the next Ralph Nader. Come on. It's much deeper than that. He ain't scared of just being no damn Ralph Nader. He is scared of some skeleton falling out that old crypt keeper closet. That's what he's worried about. I don't know if it's something he did, something his wife did. I don't know. But that's how this works. You don't get to these places unless you're playing ball. Here's another thing. Kanye West. You really think that Kanye West became worth $9 billion because he's just this maverick and so great and so intelligent? No. Most of us can see that the man is not screwed on straight. He might say some things that are legit here and there, but he's kind of a dumbass. And he is going to be promoted up because he will play ball and do what those people want him to do. That's how the system works. Sorry.
He also
Sorry.
plays both sides, which helps.
Well, what he does is he's
Of the-
sheep
Not
herding in
like
his own
the
way.
red blue, but like in
No,
terms of like business.
No, I'm talking about with the black community. He sheep herds himself. He's doing stuff which is sheep herding. He might tell one bit of truth and then throw a whole bunch of nonsense also. So that's kind of what's going on.
Yeah, that's what I mean.
I mean,
what I mean is like he has people on both sides not liking him for different reasons. That's on purpose.
I mean, you brought up the teacher thing. I mean, when you've got teachers crawling around on their hands and knees fighting for $1, fighting for dollars to get their fighting for dollars to get their students' school supplies. I'm like, you got to think.
And that's a feel-good, heartwarming story.
Yeah.
Right. They're trying to make it a feel-good story. I remember that. I was like,
Squid Games was one of the top programs on Netflix, and billions of people watched it.
Because it's propaganda.
Because it's getting you prepared for something that is coming.
Or has come.
Well, no. This is coming. And it's going to come.
No, I think in a lot of places it's already that bad. Like where you have to figure out how you will survive.
No, I think they're going to do it not kind of loosely. I think it's going to be almost exactly like that. Sad to say, that's because when you're dealing with literal psychopaths who have endless amounts
they're
of
already
money.
doing that though, but they're doing it on a mass scale where people don't notice it. They don't see it. Just like in the show, they don't see those guys, the VIPs. Spoiler alert. But
did you
they
finally
don't see
watch
them
it?
behind the scenes, but they know that something's wrong. And that's how
did you finally
society
watch
is now. Huh?
Did you finally watch it? He was asking.
Yeah, I told you I already watched all of it. I watched all of it.
Why do I keep trying?
I dreamt I was in it too.
Oh Lord!
No, like as an actor.
I hope to be acting, not to be in a real version of it. That would be a hell of a nightmare.
Well, it's kind of both. It was interesting.
Now that I think about it, like, what are those two films I was thinking of? There was Man of the People and Dave. I think about them like all the time now. Watching Joe Biden, I think about him all the time. Like, is there really a duplicate of Joe Biden walking around like normal? Like, remember when he was biking? Remember when he was biking and he had his mask on and he was like cognizant and coherent, and then I think like a month later he was stumbling around. He could barely even know where to stand or what to talk about. And then Man of the People, like they got.
It could be a clone.
I think it was right.
Or robot.
What was Man of the People? He was like
He's
some famous guy,
metaverse.
some comedian, and
I'm joking.
He was like some famous guy, some comedian, and he won, and then he found out it was just some elaborate plot, some elaborate election plot. See, now I think about it, I'm like, feels like they were just preparing me for like.
I gotta figure out what show it is, but one of the guys I work with, he was telling me about, like, I guess it's on BT. And apparently, like, this black guy, they come to him and they tell him, like, well, yeah, we want you to be president. And I guess apparently, like, he's been molesting or raping women or something crazy like that. And they're like, yo, we'll cover this shit up, but you gotta stop doing this shit. And that's how they work. And like the TV, the head of the head of the cable news channel is there, like the head of like what would be equivalent like the DNC, like all of these high and powerful people are all sitting there around the table with him, figuring out how to make this work to make him become the president. That's how this shit works.
Marcus, I would like to hear your prophecy, by the way. Just out of curiosity. I guess I've listened. I listened to you do it for so long. I honestly do want to know.
Well, the reason why they're so worried about China is, and the reason why, great movie, by the way.
It was a good movie. I mean, yeah, that was a
Distinguished
I don't
Gentleman.
remember that one.
You got to go back and
Oh,
watch it. It's freaking.
you got
it's good and it's hilarious. I mean,
it's accurate. It's accurate about a lot. It's funny. It's funny and accurate.
I need to see it.
Look at
I
it.
have that on. I need to really check to see if I have that on something. Oh, well, thank you. I'm about to preach a little bit right here. My prophecy, which I believe in, is, and this is what I say. I've done enough studying and researching that the prophecies in these books were written, some of them over 3,000 years ago, and they can be certified. These documents, these original texts, are over that long ago. Now, granted, does most of the church understand it the way I feel that I somewhat do? No, but they have a completely different understanding and breakdown. That's the reason why I understand when people are like, screw the church. I say screw the church because most of them are under 503C1s. And so they're all telling you the same script, just slightly differently. And so if that's the reason why I was telling somebody the other day earlier, I said Catholics, most people who were Christians who become atheists, most of them were Catholics that I run into, because Catholicism is where the story gets the wonkiest and craziest. There we go. 501c3s.
501c3.
Yeah, I think I said C4, but I'm thinking of bombs. Sorry. But it names certain nations by their biblical nations, and if you do the research into archaeology to figure out who these nations will be in modern times, it talks about basically China and Russia being two nations that would come against, in my understanding, the United States. That's the reason why elites like Hillary has always been so obsessed with Russia. I believe that the elites understand these prophecies. They understand what's supposed to happen according to prophecy, and they always protect against it and guard from it. Now, do they know the proper time? No, they don't know the proper time, but they do understand what the prophecy is talking about. And so sometimes when you're so overkill, worried about a prophecy, you actually fulfill the prophecy because of your behavior. And so because they've been so egregious towards China and towards Russia, they are going to fulfill the prophecies of China and Russia coming against them in war. I know some people will think, oh, well, if it's China, this will just be like one of the other wars. The difference is China is bigger than every nation that we fought damn near combined. And you factor in Russia at the same time, and who knows which other partners I could name the other partners, but I'm not going to go into the whole list right now. I'll just say North Korea, Iran, all of these people are going to be on the same side. And even some of the United States allies are going to turn on her. Because think of it like this. How many times have you seen a mobster, he starts losing, and people say, hey, well, we're going to jump on the winning team. That's what people do. A lot of people bandwagon, especially when they realize it doesn't do me any good to stick around here. So as these nations try to come against the United States and they see it becoming ever closer for things to happen, they're putting more and more money towards defense because they think that they can protect themselves against everybody, instead of trying to be more hospitable and work things out, or i.e. let certain things go. Like, for instance, the China-Taiwan thing, the United States, if they were smart, they would stay the hell out of it. But they're going to keep messing with it. And Australia is going to keep messing with it also. And when Australia gets their ass in trouble, The United States is going to go jump in on that. At the same time, they're going to be trying to get involved in the Taiwan stuff. Russia is going to be doing the same shit on the other side with Ukraine. As that goes on, that's starting to fulfill the prophecy. It's the same thing with the Roman Empire. The Roman Empire was overextended everywhere in the world. They were trying to do this, trying to do that, trying to take care of home. They had divisions internally. They had military conquests all over that were draining, the capital. With all the half of the troops gone away, and then the debt mounting and mounting and mounting, they start being attacked by other enemies, which they didn't even see coming. And so basically the Roman Empire collapsed from the inside. I don't believe that that's what's going to happen for America. I believe that the external pressures are going to be too much to bear. And especially you've spent your time running around being an ally to everybody else. And the moment you need an ally, everybody is going to turn and tuck tail. That's going to be kind of more their downfall. Now, hopefully people, as they see it, start getting to that situation, maybe dip the hell out of America or find kind of, a landing spot that's going to be a little safer. But I literally only see things getting worse. And some people will say that they believe that, oh, well, if we do this or do that, we can kind of, no, we're not going to do that. We have a media which, if it bleeds, it leads kind of mentality. It's going to be happy to just have shit to talk about. So they're not going to do anything to help diffuse some of these things. And the United States is not going to do anything to help her out of the situations, because they're going to keep the same corrupt assholes in power that are going to keep everybody divisive. That's the reason why me and Chris all the time always say, watch you and yours. We're going to get to a point where we're only going to have each other to defend on each other. I see some people saying, oh, well, why don't we just go head on and we fight this revolution against them and all that. The amount of the weapons and stuff that they have now, it's just not, it's not logical. All they have to do is declare martial law, and they can literally just start spraying people down in the streets. And there won't be nothing anybody can say or do about it. And that's what people have to understand. As long as these elite, and I feel like the only true weapon against these elites is to shine a light on them. If you're able to shine a light on what people are doing, then you can actually start to expose them. And as you expose them, then you have a leeway back. The fighting fire with fire is just not going to work. It's not a logical approach. So how I see it is I'm literally just sitting back watching a slow motion car wreck. So what do you think, me?
I asked. And
you asked.
I did. I did. I legitimately did ask you. I'm just gonna, when we first started, I used to think none of it was right or none of it was correct, and then weeks, months, it was going on like a year now. A year later, you just end up.
You see, it just keeps getting closer and closer and closer to all the stuff that I've been saying, right?
Right. So
everything that I've been saying,
you're asking me for my opinion. I can't give. Before I could have given you a solid opinion, but now I guess I'm like you. I just plop up a seat and just look at the car wreck.
Yeah, it's a slow motion car wreck. I mean, Kelly says, hold on one second.
Yeah. Oh, maybe he had to take a call. Let's see.
It's been.
You know, I want.
All right. Oh, I'm back. Kelly says, Marcus, you got to admit, though, the Romans got shit done. LOL. Maybe we will see each other all on the other side. And that's what I'm saying. The Romans did get shit done. So did America. America's been running this
Had their
shit
time in the
way
sun.
they want to. Yeah. Every
had their time in the
empire-
sun. And
Every empire has to. No empire stays on the top forever. China is already surpassed us in currency. They're already the number one GDP country in the world already. Now their weapon systems have gotten more advanced than ours.
What?
They literally have already shown that they have nuclear capabilities to launch a missile here to the United States from China. They don't need to get on a ship and get it close. They can literally do it from mainland China right now. They've already shown the ability to fly one of their nuclear capable missiles literally all the way around the world. It's literally went all the way around, came back over to China and hit a target there. If they can do that, then they can hit any part of the U.S. whenever they want. It's just a matter of if they decide to do it. And the difference between this ain't like, any other missile systems. This isn't like, oh, well, it's going to be up high enough and we could possibly do some of that Star Wars shit Reagan was talking about hitting a missile with a missile. No. These are flying low and fast. And you can't, low and fast, so they're going to be on us before the radars even pick it up. That's what they're scared of. That's what the whole funding to Israel and Iron Dome is. These people are worried about Iran bombing the shit out of Israel, which, believe it or not, that's literally in biblical prophecy that's going to happen. And Mystery Babylon, the great whore, which we are, getting burned with fire also. Yeah, SD, he asked, so I had to give it to him.
I did. I asked. I legitimately, because he's always done it. And
I mean, I read and study this stuff all the time.
right. You always said that. You read, you study it.
And a
you
lot
put
of
in
people,
the research, you put in the time.
A lot of people just have a hard time accepting the fact of, oh, wait a minute, it might get to a point where there's literally nothing I could fucking do. Well, I look at it like this, and I had somebody say, oh, you're just nihilistic. I'm like, no, I'm just a minority. I understand what it's like to not have any power. You think that the Native Americans, if they had any power and control over anything, that Caucasians would still live in America? No, they would have either massacred them or said, get your ass out of this country and go back to Europe. They don't have any power or control. Do you think that black people would have stayed in slavery for over 400 years if they had any power or control? Sometimes it's just realizing what's going on. If Mike Tyson, for instance, say Mike Tyson in his prime decides, I'm going to take everything out of your pockets and I'm backed into a corner. You think there's anything I could do to stop him? No. And I guess I'll use a darker saying, I guess. Unfortunately, this is terrible and this happens all the time, but when a big giant man decides he's going to be horrible and take what he wants from a woman, is there much that any of those women can do a lot of times in that situation? No. Sometimes you have to understand that ain't shit that you can do in some of these circumstances. It's like this. When Michael Jordan came in and on game night and he decided that he's going to put 50 points down on you, Michael Jordan is putting 50 points down on you. There's not much you can do about it.
Are we having a Christmas show?
Yeah, we can.
I meant to ask you that as we're about to wrap up.
I'm okay.
I don't celebrate Christmas. I just celebrated my Hanukkah, which was good Hanukkah. Shalom to those out there who celebrate Hanukkah. But we can definitely have Christmas. a Christmas show. You know,
Without
Okay.
Christmas.
yeah,
Like a Die Hard show.
Yeah. Ooh, that. You know what's funny? Die Hard was like always my favorite. Christmas movie. That and believe it or not, you guys don't make fun of me
Gremlins?
too much. I loved that Gremlins. If I had to make like a top 3, everybody would be like, "Ew, what's wrong with your Christmas movies?" But Jingle All the Way.
Oh dear.
Yeah, Jingle All the Way. That was
Jingle
a good
All the Way. That was one.
See, I wanted to get back into, and I was surprised I even remembered it. I wanted to get back into reindeer games.
Ooh, Reindeer Games. That's a good one. Old Ben Affleck movie. What was it? Trying to remember. What was the Charlize Theron?
Mm-hmm. Gary Sinise.
That's a good one. Gary fucking Sinise. I love that dude.
Have you seen The Long Kiss Goodnight?
Of course. Of course.
Yes.
One of Sam's funnest roles.
I used to use that line that Samuel L. says at the end. He was like, when he was on Larry King, he was like, Larry, I like to be frank and earnest with my women. In New York, I'm frank, and in Chicago, I'm earnest.
Yeah. Classic. I'm so glad he lived.
All right, Marcus is going on 3 hours.
All right, yeah, okay.
We wrap it up.
We made the 3. Yeah. And SD says, thank you for laying it out. He's glad that you asked also.
Yeah, appreciate
I'm
that.
not sure. Realistic. Thank you for mentioning the part about the ongoing history of indigenous peoples. Well, I suffer from all of these different identities, and watching the conquistadors and colonizers do what they wanted to my people all these years and never been able to do anything. So at a certain point, you accept it is what it is. You don't try to pretend history's not what it is because it's not convenient or comfortable to you. And I just try to honestly be realistic. I honestly feel the only way to fight back, any way is fighting back, is being knowledgeable about what the hell is going on and spreading that knowledge and information. Now, I was one of those people also. I feel you can play spoiler too. Even if you know you're going to lose the game, you can maybe stop another, or you might not make the playoffs. You could try to stop another team from making the playoffs too. You could spread a little misery for them too while they're getting you on the way out. So that's my mentality. Elle, you got anything you'd like to share with us?
Oh, just again, last episode of the podcast was with Marcus here, and it was actually called, I fucked it up on the last program. This podcast I fucked it up again. This podcast was not brought to you by Pfizer. And we go through a lot of information in that episode if you want to get some details. I guess I'll go into the UN stuff in the next episode, so look out for that. Don't know when the fuck that'll be. Probably towards the end of the month, before the 31st for sure. The next episode. And, I'll be off because I don't work on holidays anymore. Yay. So I get a little bit more rest on those days. And then also, I think that's, check out my Twitter at @LLatham for up-to-date information that I want to share with you guys and have you know what's going on and what to expect in the future, because there's a lot of predictive programming going on right now. One of the things is Sweden with the microchip technology that they're doing with the COVID pass. So yeah, the shit that we said would happen months and months ago is happening again, just like we said it would. So, it's good to be ahead of the curve and to know what's going on before anyone else. It feels really cool when you know shit, because I saved up a lot of money, as I told you guys in the past, before this pandemic, and I knew there was a pandemic coming before it happened. So I was a little more aware than others. And I was even able to figure out the Event 201 shit in like January of 2020. But yeah, I will roll over with laughter if Pfizer ever sponsors my podcast.
Right. I think I died laughing.
Netflix would first.
They're
But,
gonna do it just to spite you, Elle.
Asshole.
I know. I see
Anyway.
them.
You're gonna be like, "What the hell is this money in my account?"
I
And I
see
can't
them
return it. And
doing
they're just gonna force it in your account and make you take it.
PayPal will make you take
They're gonna
it.
put
They'll work with PayPal.
Or what they'll do is they'll make sure that you get what is it? They'll make sure you get monetized just so Pfizer can be on your commercials.
I could monetize, but there'd be no point because I don't have enough downloads. But yeah, I do appreciate you guys who do listen to the show. Thanks for listening. I wanted to do the play. The Matrix play would be great. Radio play, but we'll get into that later, I guess, off screen. But yeah, basically, yeah, that's what's going on. And I saved up money, and I still have money, so nobody try to rob me or anything. I know it's LA and that's the thing to do, but please don't. I do have a machete, so watch out. I'm ready for the zombie apocalypse whenever it comes. I'm always ready for the next thing. That's the thing.
Oh yeah.
Somebody left a machete here, and I actually have a machete here, and I don't know where it came from, but somebody left it here. One of my roommates. So thanks for the machete, whoever did that.
That's a good friend. That's a good friend.
Appreciate it.
Right.
I had to address this real quick. I say shalom to the dogs who walk past as they have menorahs. I don't do that flag or that person either. Signs, hit me up sometime and I'll explain where I come from on that. Just know when I'm talking about that, I celebrate Hanukkah and Passover and Day of Atonement and Feast of Tabernacles and and the high holy days and stuff. It's for a different reason than those people with the white and blue flag. Let's just say we have some similarities, but I do not consider us on the same page. E, you got anything you'd like to say?
No, just I may or may not be here. I don't know. I might have family coming in. I don't know how Christmas is gonna look, but if I am not here, I wish all of you a happy holidays, whatever you're doing. If you're not doing anything, that's totally cool too. But I appreciate all of you, and I appreciate everybody hearing us out. We're appreciative of everybody. Thank you for sticking with us as we close out another year.
Yeah. And SD, I will definitely check into that, the uranium mines and the Halapai. I'll make sure to remember to check. Actually, you know what? This is what I'll do. Hold on. So I remember. I will go on ahead and take a picture with my phone. That way I will remember. Oh shit. I don't need a selfie. And click. Got it. So I will make sure to check that out. As for me, as soon as I hop off of here, if I'm not too tired, let's see, what does that say? Dual citizen. So dual citizen laws in effect. Nowhere near as good as I'll be sure in effect mode. Probably why Chris left early. No, he had some family biz to take care of. Nothing, nothing negative or bad.
He would have said bye. He would have said bye to all of you, just as.
But yeah, he just had something to take care of. That's all. Good.
He's straight.
I, on the other hand, am working on finishing up. Remember I said that I'm on a different page as the people with the flag that's white with the blue on it, which they call it a star. I call it a lily or a pomegranate stem because that's what the Bible calls it, even though they have their. I'm not gonna attack them too much tonight. I'm just leave that alone. Yes, sell the sky, sell the water. That's what they're trying to. Remember Total Recall? They were selling air. So that's their goal. If anything they can sell, they will sell it. I am finishing up editing on my video. What is it called? The Real Mount Sinai. I'm working on finishing up that one. That one should be dropping sometime this weekend, probably tomorrow evening, God willing. And the next one I'll be working on after that one is proof of Sodom and Gomorrah, the actual location. And I'll go into some of that biblical history there, explain a little bit about some of the things. I know a lot of people know one aspect of it, but another side of it is very rarely talked about. And it has to do with treatment of people who, treatment of visitors in general. Jack says, "Amen on predictive programming." L, check out Vaxel. I will have to check that out. I'm big on loving to go into the predictive programming, but
we looked at that. Remember, we looked at that before Vexel. We looked at that on the show, Jack, just to intervene. On one of the episodes, I don't remember, but I could bring it in again for you, Jimmy.
Yeah, we can bring it up.
We have definitely talked about it. I know it was.
Oh yeah, we're big on talking about predictive programming
vaccination
here.
Thing. Yeah.
Yeah, we're big on talking about that.
The anime that we looked at. Yeah.
Next time, I'll talk to you about it in Discord, Jack. But that said, that's what I have going on for right now. I got a couple more. Just keep an eye on what is it called? My Hebrew Apologetics page. It's got a lot of stuff in the works. Sorry, I keep yawning, but got a lot of stuff in the works. Got a lot of stuff planned. So just keep an eye out over there for some of that stuff. If you like some of my breakdowns on some of the prophetic things, then you ain't seen nothing yet till you see what I do over there over the next couple of months, especially as things get a little crazier out in the world. That's where my focus has more been. Because it used to say in scripture, it says Jesus Christ is the spirit of prophecy. So I'm all about prophecy. That said, this is the Political Matrix. I am your host, Marcus Young Morpheus Cage, here with the Blue Maverick and L. Latham and Chris Cy Lawson, who was here earlier, our buddy who had to dip out. But that said, you guys all have a wonderful, wonderful weekend. Be safe out there, and much love and peace to you all.
Thank you,
everyone.
Thank you, guys. Thank you so much. Appreciate you all.